It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It's Monday, March 11th. Good morning. Whoo! I'm in a good mood today, for real. Not my fake, hey, let's have radio fun. No, I really got a good night's sleep. I watched the entire Academy Awards last night and went to bed at a reasonable hour because they started it real early, and whoever made that decision, by God, well done. First time I can remember watching all of the Oscars, and the first time I can remember enjoying the Oscars in forever. I thought it was a really good show. And as it does at its best, made me want to see all the movies I hadn't seen yet. I saw a few of them, liked every one that I saw, and hardly a surprise Oppenheimer got Best Picture. Cillian Murphy got Best Actor, Best Director. Christopher Nolan, I got all that. The one thing that really made a dent in the show was the movie Poor Things with Emma Stone, which I have not yet seen. My son saw it. He's home from spring break for a week, and he was saying all night, he goes, it's going to be Emma Stone, going to be Emma Stone. And then she won, and then I had to, have him tell me how movies work because he's 23 and knows everything. So other than that, it was a great night.
Did he like it? Because the subject matter was so odd and controversial.
What is the subject matter?
I think
seriously,
she's like what is it? She's an adult with the brain of a toddler, reanimated. I don't know, some sort of.
It's an animated movie.
No. She's like a reanimated Frankenstein's monster type of character.
Gotcha.
And apparently she just then goes out in the world and has sex with everybody she meets. That's basically the gist.
Oh, I think she did that movie already. Something about the Scarlet Letter.
Easy A. That was kind of cute, actually.
Yeah.
What my kid said the whole time is don't read anything. Just go see it. The less you know, the better. And boy, people really, really loved that show, that movie. But I thought the show was great. I thought Jimmy Kimmel was perfectly fine. Not over the top hilarious, but not annoying really to me. The John Cena, I never thought I'd say this, stole the show.
That was awesome.
Man walks out with an envelope in front of his junk, otherwise completely nude, in a really funny. They let the funny people be funny, and they didn't ask people who aren't funny to try to be funny. And I guess that's really all you can hope for. But I got a lot of movies.
Can you imagine if a nude man ran across the stage today? Wouldn't that be crazy?
Psst, Jimmy.
What? What's going on? You're supposed to run across the stage.
I changed my mind. I don't want to do the streaker bit anymore.
What do you mean you don't want to do the streaker bit anymore? We're doing it.
I just don't feel right about it. Honestly, you should feel shame right now for suggesting such a tasteless idea.
It's supposed to be funny.
The male body is not a joke.
Mine is. You wrestle naked. Why not?
Dude, I don't wrestle naked. I wrestle in jorts.
Jorts are worse than naked. Fine, just give out the award then.
Kimmel referenced the fact that 50 years ago, David Niven was on stage at the Oscars, and an actual streaker just bolted across. And so they did a play off of that, where John Cena was supposed to do the same thing and then chickened out. Yeah. But he does walk out to the microphone holding just the winner's envelope, and that's all he's wearing, if you will. And it was just really well. I mean, I didn't realize how funny Cena was. I mean, I'm pretty ignorant into the ways of professional wrestlers and entertainers, but man, that was a great moment. It was very funny.
Peacemaker. Watch Peacemaker. He's hilarious.
All right. I'll take your word for it. But
don't watch it.
What's that?
But don't watch it. I mean, it's superhero stuff. But I mean, he's very funny in it.
Oh well, okay. I'll watch enough to get a sense of his chops, if you will. That'll probably be enough for me. Not much of a superhero guy. How great is it not to have any superhero movies as a point of conversation? Every movie that was discussed last night looked like something. I was, I'd take a look at that. I'd take a look at that.
That's where you and I go our separate ways, I guess. But I thought there just wasn't anything I saw in the lineup this year that I would watch. So like a little action, a little fun,
Nah, not me. I'd go 10 for 10. I'll go straight down the list, every one of these.
What's that one you really liked, that American Fiction?
Oh, American Fiction got best original or adapted screenplay.
Didn't you like that a lot?
I loved it, and then Past Lives was nominated, and loved that. In fact, with Rosemary and our son, we watched Past Lives Saturday. My second time through, just absolutely loved it. We had a good movie weekend. Watched Michael Clayton as well.
I really like that.
One of my favorite movies of the last however long, from 2007. I would have said, oh, yeah, that's like 5 years ago, or 16, 17 years ago. That's how that works. But anyway, so just, you know, the main takeaway from the Oscars to me is, thank God everybody that's nominated for an Oscar has the ability to walk out of there, win or lose, with a $180,000 gift bag. Everybody nominated.
Gross.
Unbelievable.
Everybody nominated got a gift bag featuring like things from Poppy, a low-calorie, low-sugar prebiotic soda, a few cans of that at $9 each. They got Rubik's Cubes. They got private sound bath with a tuning fork, antioxidants, and a private sleep consultation. They got micro-needling sessions for $10,000 each, all the way up to every single person nominated has a 3-night private stay at a Swiss ski chalet that comes in at a $50,000 price tag. Okay. Here's the funniest thing. Nobody who has that bag will book that vacation, because nobody will want to say, oh, yeah, I took the free vacation in Switzerland. Everyone's going to go, no, I paid for my own somewhere else. Because it would look cool if you were an Oscar winner or nominee going, yeah, who do I call about the free ski trip? Yeah, it's just not going to happen. So that's the easiest gift in the world to give away. They never have anybody cash it in. I guarantee it. $178,000 worth of stuff from 61 different companies just for being nominated. So when they say, you know, the nomination is its own reward, yeah, that's actually true, apparently so. But anyway, I thought the show was great. I mean, there's hope for Hollywood award shows. Whoever produced that show, thanks for making it palatable. You know, it's not like you want to go rewatch it, but right. I've spent the last 10 years of my life watching award shows just angry. Oh, this is terrible. What's wrong with these people? Anyway, for whatever it's worth, I really enjoyed the Oscars.
Yeah, it wasn't super pretentious.
No, it didn't seem to be.
Too personable.
Yeah, seemed to be. Candace has not said one word about the Oscars.
Yeah, I wasn't into it. I'm like sick of celebrities. Like I'm just like sick of seeing them and sick of hearing about them. And I just, you know, I usually like watching stuff like this, but
really?
Yeah, I had other things
sick
to do.
Of
what about the Razzies? I think I've seen more Razzie movies. I was looking at the Razzie list this morning than these Oscar nominees, but that's usually the case, right?
Well, I mean, I guess so. If you say so, it's your world.
And I live in it. You know what I'll take? A $180,000 Oscar swag bag sounds nice, but what about $27,000 in free gas? We have that happen. We have that story coming up. Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS. The KQ Morning Show is back. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It's Monday, March 11th. Monday, March 11th, 2024 is the day that the NFL's legal tampering window opens at 11 a.m. Central. Everybody can start pretending they haven't already been talking to players and other teams. They'll be, oh, hey, it's good to hear from you. What are you thinking? Because behind the scenes, of course, agents' phones have been on fire for weeks now. So we're going to find out pretty quickly what's going on with Kirk Cousins here in Minnesota. The Vikings have exclusive negotiating rights with Cousins. There is an offer on the table, but no deal has been done yet. So by all, but that certainly looks that Cousins is going to test the open market at the very least before deciding what to do. The you know, they're saying publicly, this is the Vikings, that is, yeah, we want him back, but they. You know, and I believe, you know, O'Connell probably does with some great young receivers, and he doesn't want to have a year where he's testing out a brand new quarterback, probably. But at the same time, I think that the Vikings certainly have an idea of what Cousins is worth. They're not probably willing to be too flexible with that. You know, we'll just see what happens. But like by 3 o'clock today, there's a good chance we'll know exactly whether he's coming back or not. Interesting times to be sure.
Yeah. I saw, in fact, Coach O'Connell, you talked about no teams were supposed to be talking to him, mentioned last week in a presser that he knows some teams have probably been reaching out, and they kind of skirt that issue a little bit. But I saw a poll, I think the Strib did it over the weekend. Mm-hmm. The majority of Minnesotans would like to see Kirk Cousins back. But, you know, it's a sort of like a comfort meal, right? It just feels good. You kind of, the guy knows what he's doing. Of course, he was 4-4 when he got hurt last year, but...
Well, you know, last year's one of those so frustrating. Once they stopped turning the ball over every other possession after about, you know, week 6, Yeah, they look so good, and the thought was, God, the defense is coming around. Now we got 2 primary targets and 3, really good receivers, but 2 of them are top notch. Blah blah blah, and this is of all the years for Cousins to blow out the Achilles. Why now? That's called football. That's just how that stuff sort of goes. I think you're right. I think that's the perfect way to describe him. He's like he's a meat and 3. It's a piece of fried chicken with some green beans and mashed potatoes. Oh, that's good, and a good biscuit. Oh, what could be better in the world? But is he? Sometimes you just want to get a supreme pizza with deep dish and just go all in. You know what I mean? So
well, and he comes with that $40 million price tag as well. I mean, that's a pretty big deal because he's not going to sign a 1-year deal. He doesn't feel like he's there at this point in life, and he's. So the Vikings, $40 million, or to sign him to a 3-year deal for over $100 million. Whew, that's quite an investment for a quarterback at his age.
It's a real investment for a quarterback that's his age, who's always been pretty good.
Yeah, pretty
Cousins,
good.
Oh, he's pretty good, man. He's good. He's a lot better. And, as a long-suffering Tennessee Titans fan, more often than not, I would have taken Kirk Cousins. When you're on a team who doesn't have a quarterback at that level, you look at Kirk Cousins and salivate. When you're a team that's used to having somebody, I mean, if you're a Chiefs fan right now, if you were a Patriots fan, if you are, if you're a Lions fan right now, if you're a Rams fan, you're like, no, we're good, man. Thanks. We appreciate it.
Last year for the Vikings, I mean, how do you miss the hell out of a 4-4 quarterback? You have the kind of season we had after after Cousins got injured.
That's exactly right.
And that was just a roller coaster of very average quarterbacks. And I don't know that they can trade up to get one of the top 3 or not. And then you've got that to go through to break in a new quarterback. So, it'd be nice to see him stay, but for less than $40 million, or like I said, a $100 million contract.
Can't believe you're so quick to give up on Josh Dobbs. How soon we forget.
Is he still with the team?
I don't know, but boy, if he had retired after his second game with the Vikings, he'd be a legend, wouldn't he?
Yeah, he certainly would have been.
If you need someone to wing it for 2 weeks, that's your man. You want him to learn the playbook? Sorry.
It was entertaining as hell. I mean,
hell yeah, he was. Hey, down in Lincoln, Nebraska, there's an interesting story, and it just opens up all kinds of questions for all of us. There's a store called the Pump and Pantry. It's like a convenience store / gas station. A company called Balsalman Enterprises operates this store. Management got word that somebody has been maybe operating some sort of a fuel scam. They were looking at people who had point cards, like the little chain of convenience stores has that you can be a member, you build up points and accrue points and occasionally get a free gallon of gas or whatever it was. Well, in November of 2022, there was a software update that this one company put in all their fuel pumps. Okay, so this update managed orders and the reward cards. Okay, somebody somehow figured out this update was exploitable. If you had a rewards card, if you swiped it twice, in and out as you were entering to pump gas, it put the pump into a demo mode, and then gas was free. It wouldn't ring you up.
Yeah.
Insert the card, take it out, insert it again, take it out, demo mode. Well, one woman in particular somehow figured this out. Her name's Dawn Thompson. And the police started noticing, management noticed. They were like, wait, this one woman looks like is it possible she's getting free gas every time? And by every time, I mean between November of 22 and June of 23, her card was used 510 times.
Oh, man, that wasn't just her using it.
No, it was not at all.
Wow.
7,400 gallons of gas.
Oh, man.
Totaling and they averaged it all out, basically just under $28,000 worth of fuel on this one woman's card. She paid, they say, the arrangement. Police learned of another person using the card. Of course, there's no possible way one person's going through that much fuel. The police officers called this woman. She said, oh, wait, that's not my card. It's a friend's card. We were all basically, to your point, Zep, yes. Not one person, several people. The woman then sold that card to another friend. June 1st is when they fixed the problem, so that's why the free fuel stopped being pumped. But here's the deal. $28,000 in free gas over a period of months because someone figured out how to job the system. And so she's going to be, she's in trouble. That's enough of a theft to be a felony. And my only question is, wouldn't you at least do it once? I mean, if somebody said, hey, these pumps are screwed up, just double pump this card in there and you're going to get a free tank of gas. Yeah. I'll be honest. I would think long and hard. I'd be like, well, hey, man, it's like a little bonus for the day. Why not?
Yeah, every once in a while.
Maybe I wouldn't, maybe I wouldn't. There was a time in my life, oh, hell yeah, I would have. I would have used it. I would have been Don Thompson getting arrested right now for overuse. Right now, I'd give it a thought. Maybe I wouldn't, maybe I would, but I'd put some thought into it because, of course, people are like, oh, what was she thinking? Well, she was thinking free gas is pretty great.
Yeah, I don't know if she was selling this off to her friends and saying, hey, let me go down and fill up your car. Why don't you give me, $30 or $40? It sounds like, because 510 times in the course of, 6 months, a little more than 6-7 months or something like that. What do you fill up, 50, 60 times a year if you fill up once a week on average?
Yep.
So she's 10 times over that in half the amount of time. So she got greedy. They're going to notice $27,000 of free gas flowing out. Someone's going to look, if you had just gone down there and used it once a month to give yourself a little financial bump, one less tank of gas a month. Maybe she could have milked it and might still be getting away with it. They hadn't found the hack, but she got greedy and 510 times. She was just having a hell of a lot of fun, wasn't she?
That's just a whole lot of gas. If nothing else, go sign up for a new rewards card and try to get a fake name on it. I mean, see if you can possibly get one somewhere else. Of course, now I'm talking about multiple ID and credit card scams. You know what? Never mind. Don't take the free gas. Don't do anything. Report it to the authorities immediately. Walk a straight and narrow line, for God's sakes. What's the matter with us?
Right, exactly. I mean, God, if we're taking it to the government or something like that, the federal government, then you think, but
kick them in the stones.
These gas, these little town pump things here and there, they operate on a pretty slim profit margin. I understand. All right, well, I didn't get to the Oscars last night. I lost enough time by springing forward an hour. I didn't want to waste any more. But Tony and Steve said it was pretty entertaining. Candace is sick of celebrities. But we have Mike Evans' Hollywood Report. That's what I'm interested in. That's the Oscar wrap-up I want to hear. And that's coming surely in about 5 minutes. Hang tight.
Be right back. The KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS. The KQ Morning Show is back, and we always want to hear from you. Call or text 651-989-ROCK. 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. Let's head west, young men and women. It's time for the Mike Evans Hollywood Report.
Hey, good morning, everybody. I'm losing my voice. Bear with me today, but I hope everybody had a great weekend. Steve and Candace and Zepp and Tony, all of Minneapolis, St. Paul, and it's time to talk Oscars. And when we were talking Oscars, we're talking movies. We're talking Marcus Theaters. Don't forget, tomorrow, $6 for any movie at Marcus. And now you can go see some of the Oscar winners. We can tell you a lot of what happens. Jimmy Kimmel, I thought, was only mediocre as a host. Worst dressed at the Oscars by far, Ariana Grande, wearing a pink parachute-looking thing that blew up on her. Hideous. However, the show itself I thought was actually pretty good. Other than Kimmel couldn't keep politics out of his mouth at the end, I really thought it was a good show. Some early surprises. Poor Things, which wasn't for everybody, won 3 of the first 7 awards. I think people were shocked. More on Poor Things in a minute. Best acceptance speech came from the producers of the winning documentary 20 Days in Mariupol. Mariupol is a city in the Ukraine, and it was all about the day it was invaded by Russia. The producer's speech about what happened that day in the Ukraine was absolutely heartbreaking. The big winners, as expected, Best Actress, Emma Stone for Poor Things. Best Actor, Cillian Murphy for Oppenheimer. Best Director, Christopher Nolan, Oppenheimer. Best Picture, Oppenheimer. I was 6 for 6, by the way, on my predictions. Also over the weekend, the Razzies, the worst of the year. And the envelope, please. Starting with the Razzie Worst Supporting Actor and Worst Supporting Actress. Worst Supporting Actor, Sylvester Stallone. Worst Supporting Actress, Megan Fox. Both for the same movie, Expendables 4. Worst Actor of the Year, Jon Voight in the hideous movie Mercy. Worst Actress, what? Megan Fox loses again? I mean, she had already been named the Worst Supporting Actress for Expendables 4, and she was named Worst Actress, period, for a movie called Johnny and Clyde. And the worst movie of the year, Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. Yeah, Winnie the Pooh slasher movie. The movie also led all nominations for Razzies, followed by The Exorcist Believer and Expendables 4. You keep listening every morning, though. I'll tell you what movies to go see at Marcus Theaters, but those you might want to avoid. Tomorrow, we'll get back to juicy Hollywood gossip and some hot TV news. And what does that Taylor Swift pay for a hotel room when she's on the road? I'll have that and more for you tomorrow. Have a great day, Mike Evans. See ya.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, Candace, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. The KQ Morning Show is back, and we always want to hear from you. Call or text 651-989-ROCK, 651-989-ROCK, 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show for Monday, March the 11th. Check this out. On July 5th at the Fitzgerald Theater, Mike Campbell and the Dirty Knobs will be playing. Mike Campbell, of course, one of the great lieutenant colonels in rock and roll history. Tom Petty's wingman, co-writer, partner on stage and off, great friends. Mike Campbell was an integral part of the Heartbreakers, to say the very least. He's got an awesome band, the Dirty Knobs. They're going to be playing in town, and we're about to give away tickets, but guess what else? We had 2 callers lined up, and one of them dropped off. So we need a second contestant right now to call 651-989-ROCK, and you are going to be entered in a contest we call Yes or BS Oscars Edition. It's going to be a good time. Mike Campbell, literally, as I said, in the history of rock music, you've got a lot of duos. You got John and Paul. You got Robert and Jimmy. You got Keith and Mick. You got Stephen and Joe. People don't go, like, oh, Tom and Mike, but he was that. If the record company had not insisted they be called Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, they would have just been the Heartbreakers, and there would have been the singer and the guitarist. There would have been, I really think little things like that make such a difference. I mean, anybody that is following rock music closely knows all you need to know about Mike Campbell, but because it was Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers as opposed to, again, just the Heartbreakers, he didn't get that, oh, he's the other guy, but he was the other guy the whole time. And that's not just my opinion. That's what was going on. They were very much partners. Tom didn't write every song with Mike, but he certainly wrote the lion's share. Mike Campbell, in fact, wrote, came to Tom. A lot of those songs, or Mike Campbell had the parts or the hook or the arrangement. Mm-hmm. Mike Campbell very famously wrote a song, brought it to Tom, and Tom was like, I don't really hear anything. It's cool, but I'm not getting any spark from it. Just do something else with it. And then Mike Campbell bumped into Don Henley, who heard it and went, oh, that's pretty awesome, and it's the Boys of Summer.
Oh, wow.
That's where that came from. Tom Petty said, no, I'm good. And Don Henley went, oh, no, I'm good. I got this. So anyway, that's who we're talking about. Mike Campbell and his band, the Dirty Knobs, they're spectacular. I saw them in Nashville. They're really, really good. Friday, July 5th, you can see them at the Fitzgerald Theater. We'd love to give away tickets. Candace, are we ready to roll?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Tony Lee.
Cool.
Hit me.
Is it true? Is it made up? You pick as we play Yes or BS today, and it's the Oscars edition.
That is bullshit. Yes.
And I say that is bullshit.
Oh, my God. That is bullshit.
The answer is yes. The answer is yes.
Oh, I don't believe that.
Okay, here we go now. The game is this.
Yes!
Yes!
Bullshit.
Bullshit.
The KQ Morning Show presents
Yes.
or
BS.
It makes me happy to think about how many times in the history of film and TV somebody has gone, well, now that's just bullshit. You're only pulling from a few, but boy, there's just thousands of that. Thousands of times that line's been uttered. That's great. We have 2 contestants. Candace, contestant number 1, please.
Bob from Apple Valley.
Bob, good morning, sir. Bob.
Bob.
Bob. Come on, Bob.
Is Bob from Apple Valley available?
B.O.B.
Wow.
Hold on.
Hello?
Bob,
Sorry to
you're
startle.
there. Good morning, Bob.
I think you got Charlie here, not Bob.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
Oh, my bad. Charlie from St. Peter.
Wonder his hesitation.
Hey, Charlie, you know what?
Sorry.
Candace gets her B's and C's confused a lot.
Sorry,
So
I was looking at a different day.
that's quite all right.
bad.
We've got Charlie, even better. Charlie, good morning, sir. I'm sorry about the whole Bob thing. We can call you Bob, but I think we're going to stick with Charlie if that's your preference.
Hey, if Bob wins, I'll be Bob.
All right, you know what? And Bob's your what is that old line in it? And Bob's your uncle. So, but we'll stick with Charlie to start out. We're going to play Yes or BS Oscars edition. Good luck, Charlie. Thanks for hanging in there with us. Tony, take it away.
All right, number one, Chuck. The very first Oscars presentation in 1929 lasted only 15 minutes. Yes or BS?
Oh, God, that's got to be BS.
I am sorry.
Wow.
It did. Lasted only 15 minutes. Well, it was 1929.
Man.
1929. It was probably on the radio. And this just in, here's the Oscar winners. And the guy just listed them all, and someone went, wait, that's it? You're not going to talk about them? I'm sorry, we only had 15 minutes.
Some were entertaining, see?
And now the King Flour Biscuit Powder Company would like you to... Yeah. All right, 0 for 1. Charlie, I'm sorry to say, get back on the horse.
Good enthusiasm,
bummer.
though. Let's go with number two. Teen Wolf is the lowest grossing Best Picture nominee in Oscar history. Yes or BS?
Oh, man, that's got to be BS, too. A great movie.
Of course it's BS. Actually, the lowest grossing Best Picture nominee was The Hurt Locker in 2010.
Teen Wolf, Best Picture nominee.
Could have happened.
Could have happened. Well, definitely the best lupine basketball film I've ever seen.
Oh, no question.
Is that the word, lupine?
Lupine.
Wolf-like? I don't know.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know where that came from.
Number three, rapper Eminem has won as many Oscars as Leonardo DiCaprio. Yes or BS?
Oh, man, you're killing me here. That's got to be BS, too. I'm going with it.
Sorry, it is. Yes, each have won. Eminem for Lose Yourself in 2003, and Leo for The Revenant in 2016.
God darn it. Well, I'll be Bob for this one. How's that sound?
Yeah.
Gail, darn it. Okay, two more for you, kid. Number four, when handing over her Oscar for $1 Million Baby, the presenter dropped the statue and broke Hilary Swank's foot.
Oh, broke her foot? I know that's true, but I don't know if she broke her foot.
Yes or BS?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
no,
my
that
good golly.
did not happen.
Dang.
Oh.
All right, one more for you. During World War II, because metal was scarce, the Oscar statues given out were carved out of wood.
BS.
Sorry.
Oh, no. Man.
Well, that was a fun ride.
Charlie,
I'm not an Oscar fan, sorry.
No,
it's
it's fine.
a spectacularly entertaining 1 for 5, at least to us. I hope you're okay with it.
Yeah. We'll get a Razzie
that's
for
right,
that.
Bob.
Boy, I tell you what, Tony came to play. He's got the lupine fangs out. I'm going to stick with that word until someone tells me I'm wrong. All right, Charlie Bob. 1 for 5. We've seen stranger things happen. You are not out of the game yet, so sit tight. We're going to go to contestant number 2. Candace, who we got?
Daryl from Minneapolis.
Daryl, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Are you ready to play Yes or BS?
I'm ready.
Let's do it.
All right. Lycanthrope. That's the word that's popped in my head for wolf-like.
Lycanthrope?
Lycanthropy.
Oh,
Lycanthrope.
well,
I don't
okay.
know. We'll debate it later.
Let her
Snarl
rip,
and-
Tony.
Okay. Number one, the only person to ever win an Oscar for acting in a Quentin Tarantino movie was Samuel L. Jackson as Ordell in Jackie Brown. Yes or BS?
I'll go BS.
Correct. Christopher Waltz won twice for Inglourious Bastards and Django Unchained.
Oof.
That was a tough one. Number two, when Billy Crystal hosted, he carried a toothbrush in his tuxedo pocket, not for hygiene, but as a tradition dating back to his childhood when he'd give pretend Oscar speeches to his family with a toothbrush in his hand as the microphone? Yes or BS?
That sounds fun. How about yes?
Wow. Heartwarming and weird as hell, that young Billy Crystal.
Cute.
Jeez.
Number 3, late great actor John Cazale only appeared in 5 movies, but all 5 were nominated for Best Picture.
Yes.
Yes, indeed.
Correct. He of Fredo Corleone status.
Yeah, the greatest IMDb of all time. 5 for 5. Man.
Yeah, it was The Godfather, The Godfather 2, The Deer Hunter, The Conversation, and Dog Day Afternoon. Kind of bad run.
That's my 5 films. Thanks, everybody, for playing. Jeez.
2 more. Number 4, in 1974, during the Best Picture presentation, a fully nude streaker ran behind presenter David Niven and flashed the peace sign.
That is B. Or no, that's yes.
Oh, that was close.
It is.
True. Nude. And your last one, Ryan Gosling is such an obsessive method actor that when he performed I'm Just Ken from Barbie during the ceremony last night, he had any visual of his penis area pixelated or digitally removed as to resemble a real Ken doll.
BS.
Correct. That is nonsense.
Man, Daryl saw you coming a mile away,
Yes,
Tony.
sir.
Wow. Daryl just went 5 for 5.
Wow.
The beatdown.
That's as good as it gets around here. Daryl, congrats, brother. You're going to go see Mike Campbell and the Dirty Knobs July 5th at the Fitzgerald Theater. I'm here to tell you, you're going to enjoy that show. Charlie, or as we like to call him, Bob, is not leaving empty-handed. Brother, you have tickets to the Donnie Smith Bike Show March 23rd and 24th at the St. Paul River Center. And if you head out there Saturday from 3 to 5, you can hang out with Brian Zepp, our very own Zepp. Yeah, what do
Or
you
Bob
go
Zepp.
figure?
Yeah, we're having a little happy hour.
Bob
Second to
Zepp.
none, the band's going to play. Yeah, it's going to be a good time.
Good deal.
Yeah, that's going to be a real good deal. Charlie, Daryl, thank you both for listening. And gentlemen, thank you both for playing. Fantastic. Boy, I'm sorry, you just referenced John Cazale in that question. The movie Dog Day Afternoon, which is just as mind-blowing as ever. But I saw a clip on YouTube over the weekend where they're in the bank robbery. He and Pacino, they've got Pacino's on the phone, and he's giving his demands. He goes, "We need a plane. It's going to take us to. We got to go somewhere." And he looks at John Cazale. He goes, "We can fly to any country you want. They'll fly us any country." And Cazale goes, "Wyoming?" Pacino's like, it's the look on Pacino's face. He's just so like, that's not another country.
I know.
It's close enough.
So cool.
Yeah, love. It's tricky. It's National Debunking Day. Did you guys know? I didn't know that till I woke up, got to work this morning, and saw a story that today is National Debunking Day. I'm in a little bit of a panic. I don't have a damn thing to debunk this morning.
Oh, I thought you meant like it's the day where you have to. Yeah, my alarm went off and I debunked immediately.
Exactly.
I had to go to work. But you're talking
Rolled
about
out the rack.
debunking stuff. I got it.
Myths, common held myths. We're going to
perfect.
debunk some myths for you this morning here. We're going to do that in about, oh, wait a second. I'm supposed to give the time. I don't have the time, but 15 minutes. Hang tight.
Wow, that's amazing.
The KQ Morning Show is back. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It's Monday, March 11th. And every time I hear Joan Jett's I Love Rock and Roll, it kind of irks me. It gets under my skin a little bit because I used to believe, I was told this, and I believed it for years, that Joan Jett, in fact, did not love rock and roll. That's what I was raised. I was brought up believing, no, she didn't love rock and roll. And then with the release of that song, I was like, wait, she does love rock and roll? All these years I thought she didn't. But every now and again, a myth gets debunked, and you have to face yourself in the mirror and go, I guess I was wrong. I was led astray by the people I trusted most. But, today is National Debunking Day. So there's one. Joan Jett does like rock and roll. Go figure. In fact, she loves it.
Yeah.
I get great relief every time I Google just to reassure myself that cracking joints does not, in fact, cause arthritis. Because I crack my knuckles all the damn time. And I was told many times, you're going to get arthritis. You're going to regret that.
Right.
The sound is annoying to the people around you. I know that. I apologize in advance. It happens. But that's all it does. People tell you bones and joints rub together, cause causes the noise. That's not it at all.
Yeah.
There are gas bubbles that form between the bones, and those pops are just those bubbles going.
Yeah.
And if you enjoy to do it, keep doing it, which is a really good thing because my daughter, Marley, is she was a gymnast, and then she did a young aspiring gymnast for a little bit. She started at the age of 8, so she was already 4 years too late to be seriously competitive, but she was really good at it. Then she moved into competitive cheer, which is like gymnastics on a team, trying to scare her dad because she's going to break her neck every time she does those tumbling runs. But that girl is kind of a contortionist. She can pull both feet way over her head.
Yeah.
She can bend backwards and come out through her feet looking forward. I mean, it hurts my back to watch her stretch. Every bone in that child's body. I mean, she can do her shoulders, her hips, her knees, her elbows. She'll be sitting down quietly, and she'll just make a move, and her hip will go. I mean, it's loud. Her whole body pops. Thankfully. That's all it is. It's not going to give her arthritis. That is the debunking. I probably got more relief out of that finding out that's actually okay than anything else.
Right. Well, I mean, that moms are a bunch of damn liars.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Drinking pickle juice is not going to give you worms. Your face isn't going to stay that way. But to give a shout out to moms, they did it for love, right? They're trying to get us to knock off some annoying behaviors like cracking. Sydney, same thing. Also an aspiring gymnast. She did get started at 4, but broke her back doing the Yurchenko at 9 at Nationals. So that ended that. But she can crack everything. Yeah. She can crack everything, and it drives me crazy. Yeah. I'm like, just stop with the cracking. And then she'll just, pull on her shoulder, and that'll crack, and she'll give me that smirk. I'm like, she can crack joints that, I don't dare do that. I will literally break the joint. I'll pop a tendon if I try it. Here's the one the debunk that I felt the best about, because up until I read this just this morning, I thought this was true. Not that it scared me away from vanilla ice cream, but that there's beaver butt secretions in our vanilla ice cream. For years, we've heard and really perpetuated on the KQ Morning Show that castoreum, isolated from the anal gland of the beaver, is used in vanilla flavorings and perfumes. But I know, right, Candace?
Wait. You're telling me that's not the case?
That's not the case. It's just too damn expensive.
Well, I'm not eating vanilla ice cream anymore then.
Yeah, that was the allure. That was the draw.
You're not getting any anal gland, fellas. No anal.
Oh, that's the point.
Oh, yes. my poor friends. The castor are my people. The beaver's a very sacred animal to me. I appreciate vanilla ice cream solely because I wanted that butt secretion.
No, it's way too expensive. Maybe if you were like super rich, we'll talk about a bowl of soup that costs about $2,000. But it costs about $70 per pound of anal gland. The cost, it says, humanely milked castoreum from a beaver is likely even higher. I had one of those odd jobs in South Dakota where it was just a weekend job with like, how'd you guys like to make $200 cash? I'm like, okay, I'm not gay, but I'm willing to learn. What do you have for us, sir? $200 when I was 18. Are you kidding me? But it turns out we were skinning beavers and then cutting out those castoreum anal glands. That's what we had to do all weekend. Yeah, they just brought in pickup loads of dead beavers, and we had to cut out their castoreum glands. And I'm thinking at $70 per pound, I think I got screwed out of some money on that deal, but it isn't the working schmuck. But no, you're not getting anal gland in your vanilla ice cream, so eat away. Boy, nothing anal about it.
That does sound like the kind of myth that would be debunked. Which is, well, the one I'm thinking of is, and of course you've got to apply a Southern accent, which is, you boys want to make good money skinning beavers? And you think that's a very, very different situation.
Yeah, no, it wasn't.
But no. Yeah. Here's one that I find fascinating, also been debunked, and I read this just recently for the first time, that Napoleon, as in the actual Napoleon Bonaparte, he of the French variety, not a short man. In fact, at the time, he was 5'7", which was taller than the average 18th century Frenchman. He was not only not smaller than most, he was above average height. The reason he has for 2 centuries been thought of as a little fella was because early in his military career, his nickname was the Little Corporal. They were making fun of the fact that he was only a corporal, not that he was a little corporal. corporal. It's like, you're just the little corporal, aren't you? You know, oh wait, no, that's not
Pat
French.
on the head.
Yeah, he's just a little corporal. Yes, he can drink wine with the best of them, but he's just a little corporal. But the name stuck, and then once he became the ruler, of France, the emperor, and all the other things he called himself, that of course you had to keep calling him a little fella. But boy, that must have pissed him off. Accomplish all that, and then you're like, and people still, you read like German and British cartoonists in the newspapers are mocking your height. God,
how many countries does a man have to conquer to get a little respect around here?
The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind.
Yeah, and the Napoleon complex. You got to come up with something else. You know, you like to pick on anyone that's short that has a power complex, but we're gonna have to come up with something else. What about? I always, again, debunked. It's Debunking Monday here. Van Gogh did not slice off his ear. Well, there's the whole thing about Van Gogh. He sliced off his ear, right?
What,
and then he did the
someone
self-portrait.
else's ear? What the hell?
I don't know. It said in a quarrel, slicing it not long before committed suicide, though he did face a tragic end and his own paintings sold poorly. It's worth noting that he spent most of his life teaching and dealing art. He only spent 8 years of his life painting. He did not slice off his entire ear, just a portion of the left lobe. Well,
oh, come on.
I mean, that sounds like something I'd do in a bar on a weekend. Lost a little bit of my lobe, yeah.
You can go to any number of clubs in the Twin Cities, and the doorman's got that thing in his earlobe. You can throw a dart through it. So, I mean, come on, what's the big deal?
Yeah, what are those things called, Candace?
What's the ear thing where you turn your earlobe
right on the
into
tip
a
of my
donut
tongue.
hole?
Like gauges?
Gauge, thank you, the
Gauge,
gauge, yeah. Because I had that moment that every parent, not every parent, but my daughter's like, I'm going to do gauges. I'm like, well, you've got tattoos, you got your belly button pierced a year before I said you could do it. I mean, I'm a pretty liberal, let things go dad. A roll with it because obviously they have radios. I mean, they're going to. They're going to get in my face about my behavior, so I let it go. But the gauges, honey, then your ear gets really big, and then if you don't want it, you've got to have it lopped off, and you've lost part of your lobe, and it's not a cool Van Gogh thing, and I don't know.
Yeah, what does happen when you decide I've had enough of this? Like, does the earlobe grow back? Do you have to have some of it removed because it dangles forever?
You got to clip it off, then you get a little knob there out of your ear. Yeah.
Man, like I said, just if you're not using it for target practice, and if you're not letting your friends like throw stuff through it, like BB whatever darts.
Yeah,
I don't know. That one freaks me out. Yeah, I never even knew that was called a gauge. I just call it that creepy weird thing in your ear that's missing, that hole in your ear. But that's just me. How about this one? Science apparently is saying that Chinese food with MSG, monosodium glutamate, will not make you sick. In 1968, a doctor wrote to the New England Journal of Medicine, and he coined the phrase Chinese restaurant syndrome and said there's a variety of symptoms, including numbness and general weakness. And one guy said it's because they add monosodium glutamate. Further research, now going on 50-plus years, does not back that up. The scientific consensus, according to the American Chemical Society, and what would they know, MSG can temporarily affect a select few when consumed in huge quantities on an empty stomach, but perfectly safe for the vast majority of people. MSG is a common amino acid with a sodium atom added. It really doesn't do a thing, but I've heard that my whole life. I've had people who go, I got the worst MSG headache, and I'm like, really? I remember talking to... Probably in my early 20s, first time in my life I was around people who would say X, Y, or Z, that gives me a headache. And my thought was, how do you know? Who's paying attention to what you're eating and how your head feels 20 minutes later? I grew up in a get what you can, when you can, all you can. I just ate, and sometimes my head hurt, and it never occurred to me to make a connection between those two things.
Right.
I would eat, and then my head hurts, and then I would go get some aspirin. What's the problem? What do you mean? My buckwheats taste good. If you tell me they give me a headache, guess what? I'm just buying more aspirin when I get more buckwheats.
I know. We always get these contradictory, talk about debunking myths. Food myths are probably the biggest ones, right?
Oh,
and then they're almost completely debunked, and then they come up with another reason why we're not supposed to be drinking alcohol or coffee, and then it's good for us, and then it's bad for us. What about this one? Will piss off a lot of people I know that have achieved that upper middle income classification, and they're now just buying organic because we care about the environment and our children and what we put in our bodies. Well, guess what? Organic food is not pesticide-free or necessarily more nutritious. Farmers who grow organic products are permitted to use chemicals that are naturally derived and in some cases actually worse for the environment than their synthetic counterparts. However, pesticide levels on both organic and non-organic foods are also so low they aren't of concern for consumption. So yeah, you're not poisoning yourself by going organic, but you're just not saving yourself and the planet as much as you had hoped.
I had a brief organic run. I think and it was you know what it was is
I buy into it sometimes too.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's got to be.
I'm talking
right?
like a quarter century ago when Whole Foods first hit Atlanta, where I lived, and I walked into a Whole Foods and I was like, I couldn't. They just had charlatan Vegas show producers putting out the produce. It looked amazing. It was the greatest show I've ever seen. It was the first time I saw a Whole Foods. I was like, this is better than any grocery store I've ever imagined. I don't know what they did, but it was the lighting and the ambiance and the music and just the way they spun a red pepper and put it up front. I don't know. I was like, and then I would look and it would be like, these peppers look amazing. They're $2.99 a pound. And then I'd see organic, $38.99 a pound. Or whatever. And I was like, but those are organic. I don't even know what that means, but I better try those. And then I was like, it tastes just like a red pepper. Okay.
I know.
Yeah, I got over it quick. But they sucked me right in, man.
Oh, yeah. No, they've gotten me, too. I've just gone into Whole Foods before, whether it just be for convenience or maybe Maria wanted something. And I thought, I'm going to get some stuff with some plain labels that cost 10 times more than it does at another grocery store.
Exactly.
And it's going to be healthier. I'm going to feel better. I'm going to have healthier BMs in the morning, and and then you pay a lot of money for it. And, I don't notice any difference, but I feel better about myself. And then I don't have my own bag, and then that's awkward. I'm like, oh, can I buy one off you guys? Or I'll just cradle it in my shirt. I'm okay. Don't worry about me.
I fully distanced myself from all thought about those kind of things when I saw a Whole Foods employee, and he was wearing a sweatshirt that had the very font you've seen and you don't even think about it, but it was from Yale, like Yale University, the YALE. They have if you just notice it, if you see somebody wearing a T-shirt or a sweatshirt from Yale, you recognize the font, like the lettering. But it was Yale, except it said kale. And I looked at that, and I literally went, I'm going back to Kroger. I'm out. That's it. You're going to try to tell me. I know kale's good for me. It tastes like ass. I'm sorry. Stop trying to sell me on kale.
Yeah.
It's a garnish. It's supposed to be on your plate. They're supposed to carve up a piece of carrot to look like a sunflower and lay that on a thing of kale, and no one eats it.
Right.
Boy, the kale lobby just got us all by the balls about 10 years ago, didn't they?
I think you're right. It probably jumped the shark for me when I was in one of these said organic aisles and saw dark chocolate-covered kale. I'm like, no, stop it.
Seriously?
Stop it.
Oh,
yes, dark covered chocolate kale treats.
Well, every time I'm at a restaurant and they have a kale salad, read what else is on that salad. It's like we offer a fresh kale with 31 other things with real flavor. It's not like a simple salad. Like, I'm happy. Just give me a hunk of iceberg lettuce and some ranch, and I'll eat it. You give me kale, you better have raisins and 2 different types of dressings and red onion and cashews and a butterscotch at the end of it, for that matter.
Yeah, like Mom feeding us peas. Did not like peas as a kid growing up. I've softened on peas a little bit, pardon the pun. But if she put them in this, she made this wonderful tuna hot dish, and if she snuck it in there with not too many peas, then sure, I'll eat the peas because I'm not missing out on the tuna casserole at all. Speaking of which, I'm out having lunch yesterday, and we get the French fries or the Parmesan French fries there for the table, and they bring out their ketchup, and I say to my server, I don't know if you know this or not, but today is National Ranch Day, so I'd like a side of ranch if you don't mind, please. Candace?
Yes.
Did you remember that yesterday was National Ranch Day?
I had ranch 2 different times yesterday.
Yeah, I bet you did.
Wow. Was there other food involved, or was it just ranch?
Just a
Yes,
mug?
I got a pizza and I had half in the earlier part of the day, then half in the later part of the day, and used 2 different kinds of ranch.
Oh my God.
That's crazy.
What a thrill seeker.
You didn't try that new Cheez-It Ranch, did you?
No, I don't know about that.
When you
one.
told that to the server, did she go, isn't that something?
No, but she did literally roll her eyes with her head. I'm like, did you see that? Was that a roll? She's like, she wasn't rolling her eyes. I'm like, that looked like an eye roll to me. But yeah, and she gave me that, oh, wonderful. I just got dad joked.
Yeah, another couple debunks of recent vintage. Both, like you said, nothing winds us up more than food or beverage debunking. First things first, you don't need 8 glasses of water a day. We heard that one forever.
No, forever.
Research shows people who gulp a glass of water when they're thirsty get enough to stay healthy and hydrated. There's other things you do. Soup, fruit, vegetables, drinks like juice, tea, and coffee all help you. There's water in all of those things as well.
Yeah. Well,
Now they do say if you're taking a leak and it's dark, if your urine's dark yellow, yeah, have some water. But generally speaking, unless you're living out in Arizona in the summer, you're getting enough. And your body tells you like, oh, I'm really thirsty. And as long as you don't find yourself being like parched and needing a ton of water, you're getting enough. I will say this: the days that I find myself drinking a lot, I've had spells where I do drink a lot of water. Like I'll go through almost sometimes a gallon in a day because I'm trying to. I just want to, in my mind, I just got to flush out the system. And if I go a couple weeks where I drink a lot of water and then I have a day where I don't, I actually feel it. I can feel mentally like I just feel like a little fatigued mentally. But that said, I don't feel better when I drink water, but if I drink a lot of water for a while, then I feel worse when I don't drink it, and then that pisses me off, and then I have to prove to the water, I'm not your bitch, and so then I just stop drinking water.
Man versus water?
Yeah, it's
All
like, oh, don't you dare you make me miss you. I'll show you who misses water, not this guy.
All right.
Damn it. Oh, the other one I was going to say, and this was great news for me. Eggs, bad for your heart. We've heard that our whole lives. Not so much.
Right.
And this is just in the last couple of years, a lot of people have said, yeah, the yolk has cholesterol, but for most people, the amount found in an egg is not as bad for you as the mix of fats from everything you eat. Eggs have so many nutrients like omega-3s that also lower the risk of heart disease. If you're having an egg or 2 or even 3 a day in a normally otherwise healthy person, it does not raise the risk of heart disease. As an omelet guy from way back, very happy to hear that.
Yeah, my dad he consumes eggs at an alarming rate, has to have his eggs in the morning. Could very easily be a fried egg sandwich. If he's cooking, it's a fried egg sandwich for lunch there or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's every day. And I remember years ago when Mom was getting Dad in for a physical, which was an event in our family. You're like, well, you're getting Dad to the hospital for a physical? Or are you telling him that you're taking him in to get a hunting license? How are you tricking him exactly? Are you going to get him drunk first? Or how's this happening, Mom? Now he's just at that age where some things are hurting. He's feeling uncomfortable, and he's acquiesced finally. He's going into the doctor, and we're like, oh, wait till he gets his cholesterol level, because we've been told that eggs raise your cholesterol level. And Dad, no one eats more eggs than Dad, and his cholesterol level came and just right there right down the middle of the road where you want it to be. And I should have realized then, but I thought Dad perhaps was some superhuman. He's developed a cholesterol immunity. He's eaten so many eggs. But eat your eggs. Enjoy your eggs, I guess.
Why not? Here's one that really bugged me when I read it, which is if you're traveling, if you're out and you're not at home and you're worried about using public facilities, toilet seats, toilets in general, they're not going to make you sick. They're way cleaner than you might think. It's the bathroom door handle, and the floors that tend to be covered with the bugs like E. coli and norovirus, which is the stomach flu.
Stay off the bathroom floors.
Yeah, it's like, well, just grab a paper towel when you're opening the bathroom stall, to cover it. Like
people do that.
It's the door handle. It's like it's the same thing as when you get into a hotel room. If you pick up the TV remote or use the hotel phone, that hasn't been wiped down since like the Nixon administration, generally speaking. And so that's where you're going to get sick. It's not the sheets on your bed; they're nowhere near as gross as the simple TV remote is. And so similarly, the toilet seat, it's fine. Don't lay out your lunch on it. But I'm saying the toilet seat is not the problem. It's the door. It's the handle on that stall at the bathroom at the airport that's going to give you the bug, to be sure. This weekend, a lot of basketball. The Big Ten women's tournament went down yesterday. Caitlin Clark of Iowa, the nation's leading scorer, now the leading scorer in college basketball history. This woman not only led the league, led the nation in scoring, but also in assists.
Yeah, she's amazing.
She's a baller. She's 6 feet tall, too, by the way. I mean, she's thin, but she's strong as hell. She lit up Nebraska yesterday in an overtime win to win the Big Ten championship. They held her to 4 points in the first half. Don't know if you caught any of that. 4 points in the first half, 30 in the second in overtime. Third straight Big Ten title. Caitlin Clark is an absolute baller. And as a sports weekend goes, yesterday went out and saw the Wild and the Predators.
Yes.
Wild with a nice overtime win. That was a great game. My son and I went. We were in the KQ suite. He was rocking a Preds sweatshirt, by the way, as a Nashville kid. And nobody cared. Nobody noticed. It was fine. I was
Minnesota.
like, really? You're going to do that? But we had a great time, and I'll tell you, it was so funny. He's been seeing Predators games his whole life, and even he goes, after the first period, he's like, this is so much better. I mean, my God, just the things people are yelling, they actually understand hockey. And I'm like, it's Minnesota.
The rules and everything.
And he goes, man, I mean, and the response, like the reaction to things. Everybody sees the play being set up before it happens. He's like, he goes, man, I still go to Preds games, and all you hear is, hit him. Fight. Like they're missing so many of the subtle points. But for the record, 3 minutes in to the first period, the gloves went down on the first fight of the game.
Was it Foligno?
Yeah, I don't think Foligno was the first one. He was the second one.
Oh, okay.
Maybe I got it backwards.
I jumped in on the second period. So
man,
I'm not
3
sure
minutes in. 3 minutes in, two guys through the. I was like, boy, they've been waiting to see each other since the last time these two teams played. But Connell, who's 23, he goes, I've never seen a hockey fight. And I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, well, for a long time they kind of really. They put the kibosh on it for years, and they've just recently they're letting them full-on fight again in a way. He goes, and he's going, I mean, we're not like season ticket holders, but he gets to 5 or 6 Preds games a year with friends, and he goes, I've literally never seen a fight in person until today. And I was like, wow. And he goes, that was cool. He's like, that's so exciting. I'm like, yeah, it was.
Plus, you know how rare it is when they actually pull the Gophie and
Gophie?
the goalie, and you win the game.
Yeah, incredible.
I mean, what a heck of a game to be at. He's a Preds fan, but all said, great win for the Wild. Now about 6 points out, but just damn fun game. It was a fun game to watch. I can't imagine what it was like to be there.
They're with that pack of teams. They're all right in the same round. They're not as far out as you might think. Like it says 12th place, but so are like 4 other teams. But yesterday, what a fun game. I mean, both. It was really, 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 really nice. And speaking of sports, the men's basketball tournament, as well as your chance to win $1 million, is also coming back. Register for our $1 million bracket challenge at 92kqrs.com. Make a perfect pick. That is a $1 million bracket. Sponsored locally by Xfinity 10G, the network made for streaming. Contest rules at 92kqrs.com.
All right, 7:55. Film critic Ryan Jay is going to join us and run down the Oscars. Now, we have a couple people on the show here. Steve and Tony thought it was pretty dang entertaining. Actually, Mike Evans thought it was fairly entertaining as well. I just learned that Slash came out and performed with Ryan Gosling. I'm getting a bit more interested the more I find out about the Oscars. We're going to find out a lot more with film critic Ryan Jay here at 7:55. Hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, Candace, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. The KQ Morning Show is back, 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. In a few minutes, Ryan Jay is going to join us. We'll be discussing the Oscar Awards. with Ryan. He's a very popular syndicated entertainment critic, and I'm curious as to his thoughts on the show and some of the awards. Before he calls in, I mentioned that my son and I saw the Wild Predators game yesterday. Saturday, Edina won the boys' AA championship 2-1 over Chanhassen. 20,000 people at the XL Energy Center for that game.
Shocked Edina, huh? Boy, they came out of nowhere.
20,000 people. 140,000 people in the building for the tournament, and I have some thoughts on that. But apparently we've got Ryan J. on the horn right now, so let's go out west. Ryan, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Thanks for calling in. Last night's Oscars, the biggest surprise to me was how much I enjoyed the telecast. Was there a new production team involved, or how did you think the show went itself just as a production?
I agree with you. I think that we see, throughout history, they always try to reinvent the wheel. They try to experiment and do silly things with the audience, or the way that they present the categories changes, and they're always trying to do different things. But it seems like last night's production, they actually stuck with some of the things that have worked historically, and it was smart to have previous winners introduce this year's acting categories, and the pacing was really, really good.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it wasn't just previous winners, but 5 winners for each category. So if anyone didn't see the telecast, they'd say, okay, the first award of the night, Best Supporting Actress, 5 former winners all came out to discuss this year's 5 nominees. And at the end of the day, people just want to see the stars we've seen for years. I thought that was an awesome touch. One thing that bugged me, and always does, the In Memoriam segment, there's a dance number happening and music being played, and they're spending more time focusing on the performance. Really, it seems like than the faces of the people we lost. I would love just a little highlight reel, a few seconds of each person or something like that. Do you have any thoughts on that In Memoriam, and does it bug you, or is this just me being a jerk?
Oh, no, I am with you 110%. I think it's really weird. I mean, maybe it's because they want to keep the attention of those that are present in the live audience. But for those of us at home, we just want to see the photos and the names. And they made it really difficult last night. First of all, they kept changing the perspective. Sometimes it was a very extreme wide shot where you're seeing just on either edge. I mean, if you've got the 75-inch TV screen like I have, it's one thing. But for everyone else, for those of us that have like more modest-sized TV screens, it's. And also when they were using those 5 digital panels and sometimes showing between 2 or 3 and, multiple names in memoriam at the same time, it was very convoluted and difficult to focus on. So I agree with you. It would be nice to just kind of like let the music play and let us see the photos and the names.
Ryan Jay's with us on the KQ Morning Show. Are movies back? Is Hollywood back? I mean, it seems like after the last 3 Oscars, I should say, since COVID, it's just been the entire industry has been in flux. Last night's the first one that felt, for lack of a better word, normal to me. Is there a sign that maybe things are starting to turn? It's not going to be all superhero movies, and we're going to start to see a little bit more story involved? Maybe I'm just being too optimistic.
I mean, that's a good question. I don't know if we're going to see any less superhero movies, but I think that the movies are back. Box office is continuing to grow post-pandemic. Of course, we had the lull of the actors and the other strikes going on last year, but we worked our way through that, and this year looks to be even bigger than last year, and I think that next award season is going to be even bigger as well.
Ryan, any surprises for you last night? And if so, what was the biggest one?
No major surprises, but I'd say that because so much was made over the, quote-unquote snub for Greta Gerwig not being nominated as director for Barbie, I really thought she might take it with her co-author husband for adapted screenplay, but of course that went to American Fiction instead. So that was kind of the one that was, I think, maybe interesting.
Yeah, I loved American Fiction. I love Barbie as well, but American Fiction was a real surprise, and I thought it was great. And Cord Jefferson, who won that, getting back to what I said a second ago, his speech was actually awesome. He basically said, hey, everyone told me for years Hollywood is risk-averse, but how about less risk? Instead of making a $200 million movie, how about 50 movies that cost $4 million each? Whether that falls on deaf ears or not, man, it was great to hear somebody say it.
I love I mean, the best part, though, of these is the acceptance speeches. It really is. I mean, that's where you get choked up and you're so proud of, and they're always so inspiring. And absolutely, I think that Cord was a really great success story last night. And American Fiction is a fantastic film, so a deserving win.
Oppenheimer is the big winner with the most awards, but somehow still fell short of expectations, if you will. But I did think it was interesting. I thought it was very appropriate for Steven Spielberg to hand the Picture of the Year to Christopher Nolan. I mean, Nolan is kind of the Spielberg of his day right now. He can make commercial blockbusters, and he can make films with great messages and everything in between. Christopher Nolan, I mean, he has to be kind of the number one guy in town right now, would you say?
Oh, for sure. Sitting pretty, sitting on top of the world, his 8th nomination and first win. He's the one that everybody wants to work with. And there's a reason why Barbenheimer was a thing. I mean, Barbie was this big commercial movie, and Oppenheimer was commercial just because people are so excited to see what Christopher Nolan is doing next. So, yeah, the man is on top of the world.
Ryan Jay's with us on the KQ Morning Show. I still haven't seen Poor Things, which I will rectify that. But and no surprise that Emma Stone won over Lily Gladstone, because it seemed like Lily Gladstone had all the hype all year long.
Well, interestingly, I mean, Lily and Emma both had won throughout award season, so it was sort of a toss-up going into last night. The same was true for Best Actor, where it was Cillian Murphy and Paul Giamatti both kind of teeter-tottering throughout the whole award season. But I think it was great that Emma won, and I mean, it would have been great to see Lily win and build upon the historic nomination as the first Native American actor nominated. She, of course, would have then been the first to win. But Poor Things, are you a fan of Yorgos Lanthimos? Have you seen any of his previous films?
No, I sure haven't.
Okay. Well, he's a very experimental and he does disturbing kind of filmmaking, but he's broken through to the mainstream. So it'll be interesting to hear what you think of that movie, because Poor Things is really an interesting study.
Ryan Jay's with us on the KQ Morning Show. All right, well, it's not too early to look ahead. What's coming around the corner that you're most excited about? What movies by any particular filmmakers that aren't necessarily blockbusters, but something you think will be interesting or fascinating this year?
Well, it may be a blockbuster, actually, and we got a little taste of it last night, maybe in a little bit of egregious self-promotion, which was the co-presentation duo of Cynthia Erivo in Green and Ariana Grande in Pink, evocative of the characters they're going to play in the upcoming Wicked Part 1 film, where Cynthia is the Wicked Witch of the West and Ariana is Glinda the Good Witch. We saw the trailer break as a teaser during the first commercial break of the Super Bowl earlier this year, and I think that's going to be definitely something that we'll see a lot of nominations coming for next year.
All right, that's awesome. Could Ryan Gosling be any cooler? I mean, seriously, that Ken performance was outstanding.
Who can pull off pink sparkles and the rest of it and singing and dancing like that, man? I mean, he's another. He's proven that he's got a little bit of what Hugh Jackman does. I wouldn't be surprised if he starts getting offers for the Broadway stage.
And then, no one else in that room last night could have pulled off standing next to Slash for a searing guitar solo quite that way, head to toe in pink as well. So a huge highlight. Ryan, thanks for taking the time to call in, brother. We appreciate it.
Hey, thanks so much. Have a great day.
You got it. So Ryan Gosling, who played Ken in the Barbie film, if you didn't see it, last night, the song, Barbie had 2 songs nominated for an Oscar. The I'm Just Ken, and then the Billie Eilish, What Am I Here For, or whatever, What Was I Made For? And that actually won the Oscar. I thought her performance was great. But the Ken, I mean, it cuts to Ryan Gosling. He's sitting in the out in the crowd. He's sitting behind Greta Gerwig and Margot Robbie. Microphone in hand, cowboy hat on his head, and then he starts singing, gets up on stage, huge dance number, dozens of dancers, and by the end of it, he's flanked by Slash and Wolfgang Van Halen doing dueling guitar solos, and it was just so unexpected. I mean,
I'm sure it looked better than it sounded.
It's great. Hey, man, but, it's not like you're in the middle of a show where you're at an award show and then you have to immediately go from 0 to 100, ratchet it up and put on a thing. Like, that's what I think. When I watch those kind of shows, I remember watching the Oscars years ago when Dolly Parton was nominated. She had a song for a movie, and she was nominated for an Oscar. And she came out and performed it, and she was on stage alone. Like, the backing track was just on tape. They weren't trying to pretend a band was there playing it. And she wasn't even holding an instrument. She had a little headset microphone. And she just stood on that giant stage with nobody else, without a prop, and just performed, clapping, dancing, getting people to sing along. And at the end of it, they all jumped to their feet like, you just forget, that's what a real performer is like. It was really something. And that Ryan Gosling, I don't know much about the dude. I've seen him in movies. He's good. But I was just like, man, you watch it and you're like, wow, you just did that in the middle of all this other crap. You still pulled off this crazy-ass dance number. Had to have been rehearsed a million times. It was way more intricate than this standard. Just, it's not like a band sets up and just plays a song. It was a great performance. Anyway, I thought that was all pretty fun. I enjoyed it. But back to Minnesota boys high school hockey, for God's sakes. And this is what I'll say. Second time around for the state championships for me. A year ago, the three of you and then a whole lot of other people were like, oh, no, check out the boys, the tournament. When it comes into the XL, it's amazing. Mm-hmm. And I, of course, did the eye roll with the head and was like, yeah, sure, okay, sure. I'm going to watch high school hockey. I could care less. And then a year ago on the Saturday, I sat at home here in Minneapolis by myself and watched like 5 straight hours of high school hockey. I could not turn it off. The visceral, I had a visceral reaction. It's just so obvious how much these kids are playing their guts out and their hearts out, and the excitement in the crowd. It was tremendous, and I talked about it on the air last year. And no nonsense. I was truly loving it. And this is what's funny. My son came in for the week from his spring break. He's in town. Friday afternoon, he and Rosemary went out to around the corner. He's like, I want some chicken wings. She's like, oh, let's go to right around Ray J's. Let's go there. It's a great sports bar. They have good wings. He comes home a couple hours later, and he looks at me and goes, Dad, we have to go to the Minnesota. We got to go see the high school hockey tomorrow. And I'm like, I'm sorry, what? And he goes, I was just watching at the bar. Oh, my God, it's unbelievable. And I hadn't mentioned a word about it to him. And I go, oh, you picked up on that? He goes, yeah. He goes, they didn't even have the sound on. I could just watch. He goes, 1 minute in, I was like, oh, my God, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen. And Rosemary's like, yeah, he's obsessed with high school hockey now. It took 60 seconds. And so it really is. And so as we mentioned, Edina won the state. They beat who? Chanhassen. And again, the arena holds officially 18,300. There were 20,300 people packed in there for the finals. That is just absolutely incredible. They outdrew 13 NHL games over the weekend, by the way.
And the hair. Yeah. Don't forget the hockey hair.
Hockey hair team video is one of the highlights of my year in sports every year. I thought the fellas really rocked it. The ladies got involved a little bit this year as well into the boys state tournament hair video for the all hair team. But yeah, I like it. It just takes me back to the mullet. Oh, sure. Just feathered hair days. The guys really let it go. Sporting a couple of stashes in there. The mustachio is back. But yeah, all the way around, entertaining as hell. And Edina wins again.
Yeah, go figure. Like you said earlier, will they sneak in?
What? Medina? Or Edina? I said Medina. Yeah. No, the Edina. But entertaining as hell. Well, if you thought some of the human resource hoops your company makes you jump through are annoying, wait until we tell you about the details of this company that thought it would be a good idea for their male workers, to experience menstrual cramps on the job. Oh, God. How did that turn out? We'll talk about it at 8:20. Hang tight.
The KQ Morning Show is back, and we always want to hear from you. Call or text 651-989-ROCK. 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show for Monday, March the 11th. I have been through 2 pregnancies. When I say I've been through, what I mean is my wife has been through 2 pregnancies, and I sat there and watched and listened and went, wow, that's fascinating. And I even read what to expect while you're expecting.
Sure.
I mean, I really did first time around, and then the second time I knew it all. So but no, read through it, was fascinated. It's amazing, but I didn't feel any of it. They say men pick up sympathy symptoms. But I mean, so what? That's nothing like being the person, at the center of attention, the person actually doing the work. And I've seen things in the past where they have these. You can have an experience like a 30-minute or 60-minute thing where you can simulate what it feels like to be pregnant. They strap on you can go to a place and they put on a big weighted bump, like a thing you wear on your torso, a big bump. It shows 6 or 7 or 8 months pregnant. And then they ask you just to complete household activities. It's literally like, okay, now just load the dishwasher, do some laundry. Chase around a toddler, whatever it is you're doing, pick up all the stray toys or dog toys. And then, of course, the men that go through this, they're like, holy crap. I mean, it's so hard. I can't imagine. Yeah, and that all makes sense. We can all imagine that, But now there's something. Okay, it's one thing to strap on a weighted vest and simulate what it's like to have that big bump. Yeah. This is a whole new level to me to show men just how easy it is to be a dude. A company in Japan, a telecommunication firm, they have decided that the men in their company would be better served if they could experience menstrual pain.
Oh my God.
Sometimes I get the menstrual cramps real hard.
I feel like human resources is menstrual pain in the workforce.
Yeah. This pain is generated what is called a perionoid device.
I love that Black Sabbath.
They hook these gentlemen up. It sends electric signals via pads in the lower abs. It induces the cramping sensation experienced by women during their period. Now, I would imagine women have done this tested to go, yeah, that's exactly what it feels like, or that's close, to make sure that this is a proper simulation. And, of course, men are like, holy crap, I can't believe how bad this is. I can't stand up straight. They're all laughing nervously. Like, one guy said afterwards, I couldn't move. It hurt to the point where I couldn't stand. I now understand women have to work while fighting this pain every month. It's amazing how women can do that. I really respect them.
Well, what's the? I'm sorry, and he didn't respect women before.
I guess not. I guess not.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I thought they were a nuisance in the office place, really, until I experienced menstrual cramps, and now I'll treat them decently in the workplace. I think women, they ought to have something for women, too. It's not easy being a guy in the workplace. For women, they should be able to experience what it's like to have an erection in the workplace. It's uncomfortable. It's difficult. Sometimes it can be painful. And it's awkward for sure.
Erections in the workplace have never bothered me. It was erections in middle school that did me in. That whole
weird.
7th, 8th, 9th, 10th. Who am I kidding? It's
just as you get
for
called
life.
on.
Oh my God, no kidding. You know you're in trouble when like the girl in front of you raises her hand just to ask a question, and you're like, "Oh my God!"
That's all it took. Yeah. I saw her armpit. That's it.
That's Boing. That's it. But so for men who are now curious what it's like, hey man, you can figure out exactly what it feels like to have your period, and I'll be honest. My first thought is, yeah, man, everybody should have to go through that. I mean, I'm too old. I don't care. But young guys entering the workforce, strap them on. Get tough, dudes. See what's happening around here. In Japan, for the record, women in Japan, companies in Japan are legally required to allow women to take menstrual leave.
Awesome.
Well, all right. So when I strap this on, can I take leave?
I don't think you can, no, because you can take it off.
Double standard.
Candace, men pretty much just wimps, yeah?
Yeah. I mean, that would be very satisfying to watch this happen to you guys.
Yeah. Okay. Just curious. I mean, we support you in whatever's going on.
And you're evil.
So. I love how Candace just goes, yeah. Silence.
Better.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Well, just as long as we're paying you less.
Jeez. I still remember, the days of, just being, and I went to a really small school. Everybody knew everybody. Like from 7th through 12th grade, everyone knew everybody in every grade because you're talking no more than 20 people per grade in my school. And it's a tough thing. And I had empathy at the time. One day you come to school and a girl you've known for 2 years is suddenly very different. She's angry, and she's staring at you like she wants to stab you. And everyone's like, oh, okay, that's where she is now. I mean, I remember very clearly, and it's horrible to look back. Every time a girl would then enter that phase of life, it was like public knowledge. We all talked about it. Oh, she is? Oh, it's her first one? Okay.
Yeah.
What
And
the
then when
hell's
she
wrong with
doesn't
us?
have it, that would be cause for a lot of talk, right? The rabbit died.
It's taken. There was, or like, well, she's in 9th grade still, huh?
Yeah.
Not yet. Why did we know? Why was that something? What was wrong in the world? Why? There's no reason to let 12 and 13 and 14-year-old boys know anything about what's happening in the lives of girls.
They're not going to understand it anyway.
Yeah, man, no kidding. So, is that something? And while we're here, and then we can move on. But I'm not trying to put you on the spot, Candace. But is this something that any easier, or is it just suck the whole time? Is it just always awful?
Sucks, man.
It's not the kind of thing
Yeah,
you just
I
get
think we
used
should
to.
move on.
Yeah, I'm fine to move on. That says all I need to know.
Seem like you're getting angry.
Yeah.
Just my period.
We mentioned earlier, I don't want to say it. We mentioned earlier on the show there's a lot of debunking. Today's National Debunking Day. And a lot of health things like organic food, organic vegetables and fruits, are they really better for you? And the answer is pretty much no, not really. There is a vegan market on Long Island off, New York City. It's called Cindy Snacks. And they have posted an accusation against another Long Island vegan bakery called the Savory Fig. So you've got Cindy Snacks and the Savory Fig going at each other. And here's why. Cindy Snacks says, now again, these are both vegan bakeries.
Yeah.
Cindy Snacks says, oh, by the way, we stopped by the Savory Fig, and they had some donuts up there, and I thought, boy, that looks a lot like a Dunkin' Donut. Not a Savory Fig, but something you'd get at Dunkin'. They posted photos and went through it, and in fact, it turned out to be a Dunkin' Donut. They were apparently, the Savory Fig is like, and no one's going to know the difference. Screw it. We'll just go buy some Dunkins. They have the sprinkles that are the D.
Actual Dunkin' Donuts from Dunkin' Donuts.
The D-shaped sprinkles. Kind of a dead giveaway. Wow.
And the vegans didn't know. They didn't immediately have a reaction to the animal fat and goo and whatever was in these non-vegan-like donuts. They didn't immediately, their bodies didn't convulse and puke it up.
No, and I mean, people are freaking out. There's people who have celiac disease. I have a buddy with celiac disease. It's not not for the weak. It's not for the faint-hearted.
Right.
Wheat exposure from a regular donut can kill people with this. And here's this place again, the Savory Fig. If you're going to call yourself the Savory Fig, I'm not going to trust you.
I like
I'm
the
guessing-
SmackDown too. It's like Gary's Old Town Tavern versus Cheers.
Yeah, that's
Except
exactly
with a bunch
battle.
of people that, wouldn't push someone to save their lives. But, I mean, I at least hope they were charging, a premium price for these vegan donuts that came from Dunkin'.
That's pretty great. Do you know how angry vegans are when they get fight? I mean, when the temperature rises and a couple of vegan establishments are gonna drop the gloves and go at it. And these are no one's wearing deodorant. The smell.
They don't have the protein. They don't have the strength, to really have a good knockdown drag out. Wouldn't last long, I don't think.
It's like just to come by, just what it would smell like for 20 people who use Tom's toothpaste in the same room together. I mean, good Lord. Come on, man. They're gonna be throwing hands. Dunkin' Donut on the scene or not. I'm just saying that's tension waiting to happen.
Well, and then the vegan place that was doing it the vegan way, towing the line. The reason they probably called them out is because they were getting a lot more business. Because let's be honest, vegans are vegans. Of course, there's the one in every 28 million that have a celiac disease or something. But most vegans are vegans to take a political stance, not for health issues.
Sure.
I don't think those are called vegetarians. Vegans are militant. But dang, those donuts were good. Now they've got to go back to the crap.
Yeah, I had a slice of pizza once, and it was made with vegan cheese. And you know what? The first couple bites, I was like, man, this is fine. I would totally eat this.
Okay.
And then it's around bite number 3. And all of a sudden, I started going, no, whatever. It's breaking down in my digestive tract already in a way that my body's not ready for. And it tasted fine at first, but then the aftertaste after a few bites, and then you have a couple sips of your beer, and then I'm like, why does it feel like I just poured some sort of motor oil down my throat? Like it was just like, what do you make? Don't call it vegan cheese. Call it something else. It's not cheese.
Yeah.
Well, it was rough. And the beer didn't help. But here's something that will help. Apparently, alcohol, as much as we like to attribute alcohol blowing our memory bank wide open and we can't remember what happened, there's a moment in time when alcohol actually helps your memory. Here's the deal. Alcohol, according to a new study, helps you remember things very, very well from right before you started drinking. Researchers think it could be the booze stops new memories from being formed. So nothing is competing for the space in your brain with the memories you made right before you got drunk. So if you wake up one morning and you're like, man, what happened last night? All I remember is we walked into the bar and then, well, that makes sense because you hadn't had a drink yet. But once you start pounding, the memory bank just goes sideways. That'd be great. I have this bizarre memory where short-term memory, you can tell me something right now, and in 5 minutes, I will go, wait, what was that? But a week from now, I'll remember it. Like my short-term memory, I skip a step. A lot of information just goes right into the long-term memory, and then I have it forever, and I can't flush it, and I wish I could. and that includes when I in what I would call the drinking days, which for me are the 90s, the regular like day in and day out drinking days. I would wake up in the morning and be like, man, that was fun. I kind of remember. And then like a week later, all of a sudden I'd be like, oh, man, last Tuesday in Kansas City. And then I would remember every moment of the night. And it would just take a little while. I've got this weird, it's like a time delay capsule, like pain relief for 12 hours. And my memory works like that. You'll remember this in a week. Enjoy the 7 days of freedom before the shame comes to you in full Technicolor.
Right. Everybody's wondering why it takes Steve a full week to come apologize for his abhorrent behavior last night.
That's it. It's ridiculous.
It takes about a week, but he comes around to it eventually.
No, it's not cool at all. It's not cool at all. Here's the one I got to remember, too. I'm glad we just mentioned this. In Florida, a woman was found. She'd been missing for 3 days down in Cocoa, Florida, and she was found, this is actually terrifying, in a shipping container. Like one of the giant things you see on the back of a box car, or you see ocean liners with like hundreds of shipping containers stacked up. On a place in Cocoa, there was a shipping container. Someone heard someone knocking and banging on the door, and this woman had been in the shipping container for a day and a half. She had been, for almost 72 hours, she'd been missing, and then no one knows what happened to her. She's been reported missing, and then suddenly someone hears knocking, opens one up, and she steps out, and she has no idea how she got in there.
And what? It sounds pretty fishy. Here's the audio. This is the trapped woman, Marlene Lopez, and the owner of the shipping business, Tyler.
So what happened?
I don't know. I was in one place, and I found in another.
We found a lady in a container of ours. Heard her knocking, and then she come out. Yep, she's been missing for 3 days, so something else is going on. There's something more to the story.
I don't know. I was in one place and then found in another, she said.
Yeah,
she
sounds like, she's not willing to cooperate with however she ended up in there. Probably might be fearing for her life,
It could very well be that. I don't think that's something I can't imagine that this was something she thought made sense. I don't think you walk into a shipping container. I think you get put into a shipping container.
Yeah.
That's one of those, boy, thank God. And we don't talk a lot about one other thing. I know I'm just kind of bouncing all over the place right now. But on a Monday, you've got a whole bunch of stories that we really don't care about but suddenly sound interesting for a second. Those crazy royals, you always hear about Meghan and Harry, and they've been ostracized and shunned. And but William and Kate are the royals that are still very much in favor. William's going to be the next king. Prince Charles waited 50-something, 60 years to be king, or he's 70 now. He's in his 70s. William sounds like any day day, Charles is going to, step out, and then William's going to maybe be king for a long time. He's still a young man. His wife, Kate, everybody loves William and Kate. They're the best. They got 3 little kids. They're awful cute. Well, no one has seen Kate for a few months, apparently. This is all news to me. She had a stomach surgery, some sort of procedure, before the holidays. She's not been seen in public for 3 or 4 months, I think.
Ruh-roh.
She posted a photo. Yesterday was Mother's Day in Britain, and she posted a photo of herself with her children, George, Charlotte, and Louis. And then, and the palace said this is a photo taken by Prince William, but now she's had to apologize because it's an edited photo. It's not a new photo. It's an old photo. And her statement was, her statement was she apologized for the confusion caused. She said, like most people, I like to occasionally experiment with editing. This was all an honest mistake.
It's an artistic project.
So what in the world is going on with Kate Middleton, Windsor weirdo royal?
Candace, you watch The Crown. What's going on?
I think she's gone, man.
She's gone?
She's gone
Dead?
forever, yeah.
They flat out, they Diana'd her, is what you're telling me.
Going on.
Well, I mean, but you gotta. What do they just think the public's gonna forget about her over time? I mean, until they can find another Kate. But
that picture is creepy.
So, it was not before the holidays. It was January 16th. She underwent surgery.
Well,
they won't really say exactly what it is. But she's not been seen since. And so my first thought is maybe it wasn't, maybe it was a cosmetic surgery that went awry.
Megan, what have you done?
Which would be terrible because, I mean, she's a very attractive woman by any basic metric. And she doesn't look her age. I mean, she looks great. So this is a kind of a weird thing. But it's interesting, the Associated Press published the photo. It was issued by Kensington Palace, but then they retracted it because they did closer inspection, said the source had manipulated the image in a way that did not meet the AP's photo standards. And they won't say specifically what that means, but all over Twitter, people are just like, oh, you can clearly see this photo. Her face, that's from a photo that was released a year ago, superimposed onto a body now. I mean, it's a doctored photo of some level. It's her, but it's not a real picture that was just taken this weekend. What in the world? Can the royals just not get out of their own way?
No, they can't. Maybe they need this. Maybe it's kind of like the Kardashians, our royal family. Maybe they just have to keep themselves in front of the cameras in the public limelight to function as an entity.
I guess
once they're out of the limelight too long, do they even exist anymore? The royal family only exists at the luxury of the taxpayer there in England, so.
Oh, sorry. Here's her actual comment. Like many amateur photographers. Okay, stop right there.
Yeah. You sound like an American politician.
You're a princess and you got an iPhone. Stop it.
Yeah.
I do occasionally experiment with editing. I wanted to express my apologies for any confusion the family photograph that we shared yesterday caused. I hope everyone celebrating had a very happy Mother's Day. And then she signs it C as opposed to K. Did they forget that her name was spelled with a K? Whoever posted that as her? I don't know. The whole thing's crazy.
Wow. Is this all just a cover story for the new Pentagon release of the UFO report about the sightings of aliens?
What's going on, you guys?
I know, right? It's alien. She's an alien. I knew it.
Zepp, I asked you, out of respect for Tony's feelings, not to go into that story today.
You saw me bristle.
We're going to go into the story here at about 8:50. We have that story coming up. They just released a big UFO. But Tony, for the first time, I think I'm coming over to your side because of how adamant the Pentagon is about this new UFO report. Don't trust a word of it.
Of course not.
We'll get to the bottom of that here at 8:55. Hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zepp, Tony, Candace, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS. The KQ Morning Show is back. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It's Monday, March 11th. Good morning. Bad news for everybody who thinks that we are not alone in the galaxy. A study released by the Pentagon in Washington, D.C., the actual Pentagon, the big building.
Yeah, sure. 5 sides.
Yeah, the Pentagon, the home of honesty. The Pentagon says there's absolutely, positively no evidence of aliens or extraterrestrial intelligence. Game over.
Poppycock ice
There it
cream.
is. Tony, it's from the Pentagon.
Well, of course.
Come on, Tony. Researchers from the Defense Department's, check this office name out, All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office. I'm going to say that again. There is a group at the Pentagon called, and it's under the, it's a part of the Defense Department. It's called the All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office. Hey, we got some anomalies over there in that domain. Resolve it now. What a name. The All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office. I bet they have good swag. I'd wear that sweatshirt.
You know what I bet? I bet they wear black suits, black sunglasses, and have a little thing that if you look into it with a red light, you're going to forget everything that just happened.
I bet they do. So the acronym, Defense Department's All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, DDADARO. DD Adaro sounds like the guitarist in a punk band.
DD
Adaro.
Hey, man, he was the best.
Yeah, he was.
DD Adaro forever.
He was incredible, man. Don't ask him about UFOs, though. Man, that guy goes deep. They poured over reports of UFOs over the past century, 100 years of UFO reports, and they're like, yeah, there's plenty of unidentified flying objects, but we see no signs of alien life in any of these reports. The researchers also concluded there is no evidence that the United States government or any private companies have reverse engineered extraterrestrial technology and are currently hiding it.
Why'd you have to throw that in there?
So, all this to say, if there's not alien life out there, Tony, who abducted and probed you?
It is.
I'm sorry. Wait. No, you just saw some stuff. You were not actually taken aboard.
Well, that's something that happened in Cub Scouts, but
whole different story.
They exist to maintain secrecy. It's like Project Blue Book for how many decades they did it, just so they thought they would throw you off track. It's insulting to the American public.
Well, I think it would have created less hubbub if they had just come out and said, oh, yeah, there's aliens. We got a couple in the freezer right now. Right. In fact, there's like 8 of them in the government right now. I bet you can guess 7 of them. But yeah, I mean, it's just a little too perfect, isn't it? I mean, it's a little too Hollywood. There are no aliens. And furthermore, we have not been genetically experimenting on that. Why would you throw that? What?
Nothing to see here.
Just added that? Okay.
By the way, this report released, the name of the report, Historical Record Report on Unidentified Anomalous Phenomena, Volume 1. They're just trying to bore us to death. You can't even get to the end of page 1 before you're like, okay, whatever. Unidentified anomalous phenomena. Another good punk band name. We're the anomalous phenomena. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I can totally see it. No evidence of any sighting of an identified flying object to our planet. Wait, hold on. It also noted there is no evidence of any sighting of an identified flying object to our planet in any actual U.S. government investigation. Okay, fine. The U.S. government doesn't want to look into it. Tony Lee himself has got all the evidence I need. I know you to be a man with a great imagination and a wonderful creative whimsy, but I don't think you're a bold-faced liar.
You didn't mention my lovely soft skin. But
I don't.
It's otherworldly.
Dude, some doors are not meant to be opened, because if you open that door, then that's the rest of the show.
You know, my buddy Paul just texted me, why does the Pentagon need a department for something that does not exist?
See?
There you go.
See?
Yeah, thumb on the pulse.
One of us.
I look at this stuff kind of simply, which is like, I don't have proof. I've never seen what I would say might be an alien ship. But the idea that we're the only quote-unquote intelligent species in the universe, it's just kind of it's a bummer.
There you have it.
Yeah, well,
I mean, it's like, look, seriously, we're the best the universe could come up with?
Listen, we don't even understand 70% of our universe. 70% of our universe is dark matter or dark energy or something. They just don't even know. I read an article over the weekend, Popular Science. An astronomer was saying, if you told anyone that in your chosen field that you are considered an expert, that you only know 30% of whatever chosen field you're in, they'd call you a fraud. But indeed, our science, the universe is just so unknown to us, and the idea that it's almost in our minds infinite because we can't Our imaginations can't grasp the size of the universe,
Yeah,
that there's not other life out there. But you could make an argument, and they have, that they've not discovered light speed and traveled to us and found us, the needle in the haystack. You can make some arguments about that, but there's life out there, and there's got to be more sentient life out there. There's just too much. But when the government just doubles down on absolutes like this, I'm like, oh, now I think you know.
Oh, sure.
I think you know. You're always so vague about everything. You're vague about the congressional budget. Well, we don't exactly know how much money we're in debt. We don't know these sorts of things. But when it comes to alien life out there in the vast universe, you have absolutes. Okay.
Bunch of dudes sitting around D.C. going, we gotta put the kibosh on this. Who should we get? Get it to the Pentagon. They'll say anything. Okay.
I bet you male aliens have periods and female aliens have erections.
Wow. Okay.
That's what makes sense to me. Proving that there are probably smarter people out there than us.
Well, you think that's an evolution, that women have erections and men have periods?
Hey, listen, I've said, since I became a dad, it was not lost on me that we do have it kind of backwards, because when our second child, when our daughter was born, it was during a World Cup, and I'm a soccer jerk from way back. 2002 World Cup. The World Cup was it was a joint share hosted World Cup from Japan and South Korea. So the games, we lived in LA at the time, the games were on at like midnight, 2 a.m., 4 a.m. It was ridiculous time change. But we had a baby in the house who was not sleeping through the night. I was happily up all night, every night with the new baby. First of all, getting incredible points for being the father of the year. Several nights into my secret, cool existence, Rosemary woke up and stepped out into the den to say, thank you so much, honey. You're the best dad ever. And the baby's sound asleep, and I'm yelling at the TV, watching Landon Donovan miss a penalty kick. And she's like, you're watching soccer? I'm like, it's just on. I'm watching the baby. But the point is this, and it dawned on me right then, wait, we got this all backwards. I would happily sit in front of the TV all day and just and nurse and watch sports. I'm thrilled not to go to work. I love the idea. If you're gonna tell me,
that's a horrible image.
I know it's terrible, isn't it? But I'm like, just keep the nachos coming, and I'll sit here with this baby till she's a year old.
I want to high five you after they made that penalty kick. I want to be like, Steve, yeah, but then it's awkward because I'm making eye contact while you're breastfeeding.
I know.
That just happened to me Saturday. I'm just walking along. I'm like, hey, hi, how are you? And I waved to a gal sitting in a lawn chair out behind her vehicle. I was like, hey, I'm just clipping along through the parking lot. She's breastfeeding. I was like, oh my God, I can't wait. I can't even acknowledge she exists. She was breastfeeding, but she was being so sly. But I can't watch a game with you while you're breastfeeding. But you're right. You make a good point. Breastfeeding and having children is so easy that a guy could do it. We should be doing it.
Picturing Steve in a corner office with a breast pump.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I was picturing you with really big boobs, not really anything else.
Is that your breast milk in the refrigerator out there, Steve?
One of my greatest and at the same time most horrific moments as a human being over the issue of breast milk, and I'll go ahead and share it because why not? This is me. One baby, Connell is, I don't know, 2 months old maybe, and so we lived in Brooklyn, and right around the corner from our place was a great coffee shop, really cool. Knew some of the people that worked there, got to know them. Neighborhood joint, no big deal. It's called Ozzy's. And I had the baby. Rosemary had to run in and see her doctor. She had an appointment, and it was one of the first times I'm being left alone with the baby. You've got the baby. I'm fine. I got the baby.
Yeah, right.
I'm good with the baby. And I was good with the baby. I was very happy to be with the baby. It was all caps, the baby. So my buddy Nat comes over, and I'm like, let's go to Ozzy's. Let's get a coffee and a bagel, whatever. We walk down. I got the baby. I got his seat. I got his bag. I got everything he's going to need. I'm a good, devoted dad. I've been, like I said, reading all the books, taking all the tips. I got this. And we go sit in this coffee shop, and he's just sound asleep in his little chair. He's doing great. But I have a cooler. I've got bottled breast milk on hand. Right?
Okay. Yeah.
And as I'm sitting there having my coffee with my buddy Nat, in this place, the neighborhood we lived in, it's in New York City, but there was a lot of, they called it a crunchy neighborhood because there's a lot of like old hippies walking around, and they're just granola, a lot of granola, a lot of a lot of homemade granola, a lot of Birkenstocks.
Crunchy. Sounds harmless.
Yeah, a lot of women not wearing bras, walking around like angrily. Anyway, so there was an elderly gal in there at this time, probably in her 60s, but she looks like like she just woke up at Woodstock. And she gets her soy milk, vegan, whatever. And as she's walking out of the store with her drink, she looks over, and Connell had woken up, and I'm giving him a bottle.
Mm-hmm.
And this woman walks over to our table, and without asking a thing, without saying, what a beautiful baby, without anything, simply says, breast milk is better than formula.
Oh, boy.
Out of bounds.
Yeah.
And I looked at her, and my friend Nat was and I'd already had a couple of weird, people say weird things when your wife is either with child or after you have a brand new baby. They still want to strangers will say the weirdest things around to a pregnant woman or to a brand new mom. And so I had already had a couple of odd encounters. I wasn't that shocked at the concept, but I couldn't believe she just walks up and makes all these grand assumptions. Yeah. And she just says, breast milk is better than formula for a baby. And she's saying this, and I'm like, I wanted to, I had a million thoughts. Toothpaste is better than bark, but whatever. And so I didn't say that, of course. What I said was, well, if his mother hadn't died in childbirth, that'd be an option, wouldn't it?
Oh, my gosh.
And I kid you not, you've never seen color drain from a person's face faster.
No,
and she looked at me and gasped, and then she couldn't even say sorry. She just stared at me, and I held her gaze. And she just turned and walked out without saying a word. She was I ruined her month.
Yeah,
Still want to comment?
And my buddy Nat looks at me and goes, that was terrible. I go, wasn't it? No. He goes, man, why would you say that? I go, me? Why would she say that? What if that was true?
Right.
Yeah.
What kind of asshole walks around and just accosts someone with? And he's
exactly.
he goes, and he was funny. He's like, no, man, she's being a jerk. That was cruel. Like I'm like, no, I'm sorry.
That's called winning right there.
I thought it was a full-on win. He made me question myself.
Oh, I mean, I suppose if you start to peel back the layers and dissect it, but in the moment, I did something at an airport once. It was in the fast line. I had a first class ticket. They bumped me up to first class. Now, almost never happens to me, but they bumped me up, and so I get to skip the line and go up there to the front of the line and go. And as I get to the front of the line, there's an older couple standing next to me, and the guy looks at me and he goes, "Why are you so special?" And I look back at him. I said, "My grandmother's dying, and they're rushing me home."
Oh.
And he goes, "Oh, I'm so sorry." And his wife smacks him on the shoulder, and then I got on the plane and enjoyed free cocktails for a while.
Nice.
But I get it. I can dig it, man. Sometimes people are just out of line, and they deserve not a gentle push back. They deserve a kick to the crotch.
Yeah,
Take it.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
And by the way, my grandma had already passed away, so I didn't get on the plane going, God, I hope I'm not jinxing her.
No, I mean, hey, listen, that's one of the reasons grandparents do pass away, so you can use that. That's part of it. It's like, some leave money, some just leave an excuse.
Sure, they would hate it when they pass away on like a Friday afternoon. I'm like, really? Not a Monday where I can milk this for a few days?
I had of all the times in life when you say the right thing at the right moment, there's 100 times when 10 minutes later you go, oh, I should have said this. Oh. But I always loved that one where I gave that woman what she had coming, and then the other. But we had so many bizarre, as I mentioned earlier. Any woman who's been pregnant knows this. Like, people will just walk right up to you and go, "Oh, I had the most difficult pregnancy," and you're like, "Okay, I'm sorry. Who are you? Why are you discussing this?" People came up to Rosemary, and we lived in Brooklyn. Really nice. We loved the neighborhood. I love it. It was great. It was my favorite place I've ever lived, probably, at the time, But people would just walk out. You'd just be standing at the corner store. I'm getting we're just getting paper towels on the way home. No, we need paper towels. And somebody would walk right up and just go, "Is this your first time?" I'm like, "Yep, sure is. I lost my first two." They're like, "I'm sorry, what?" Like literally, stuff like that.
No.
And my wife's doctor was like, Rosemary's doctor is like, she mentioned that one. She goes, "Yeah, it's a little weird," and she's like, "Oh my God, showing a pregnancy is an invitation for everyone to get their unresolved stuff out on the table." She goes, "You just get used to it."
Yeah.
It happened all the time.
They're on the team. They feel that camaraderie.
I guess so. And complete strangers would constantly say, "Do you know what you're having?" No. Why not? Because we have the right to choose not to know, I guess. And what about the names? What are your names? Who are you? What's your name? Why are you asking me this? It was so bizarre. Like, here's an invitation to uncomfortable conversation.
I'm headed out to the grocery store today. If I see a pregnant woman, shopping by herself, I'm going to walk up to her and say, you know what? Studies show that raising a child with a man, with a husband, the child turns out much better. You single mothers, you think
right
you
in.
have it all figured out on your own. Yeah, that's bizarre. Of all people, too, no less. A pregnant woman, you're lucky, she wasn't, feeling the hormones really busting. It's a good way to get a knee right to the crotch.
That woman, to me, that's no different than walking up to a pregnant woman you've never seen before and going, do you even know who the father is?
That's the line I'm going to use. I'm just going to, as I keep walking and go by, do you even know who the father is?
I bet you don't.
No, I won't do that, for crying out loud. I
didn't know you could get pregnant in an orgy. I mean, just say what the worst possible thing.
Look, you know what, though, Tony? You're right. I'm not going to. I don't want someone to feel horrible, but I'm going to laugh when I walk past a pregnant woman today thinking about that. She won't know why. She'll just think I'm some giggly perv.
We knocked you up, hussy.
I was saying, like, all the times you have those moments and you don't say the right thing, but then sometimes you get it right. And I love that one. My only other time, like, as a dad, where I was like, that was the perfect thing to say, because I do have tons. I always think of the funny thing 10 seconds too late. But we were on a flight, and somebody, before Connell had even made a noise, this guy said, I hope that baby's not going to cry this whole flight, and like one of those. And Rosemary said something back to him, and then he clapped back again, like just making a nuisance of himself. And she's like, the dude hadn't noticed across the aisle next to this woman holding a baby. He's a 6'3" dude with long hair and boots. And I leaned forward and I said, hey man, you say one more thing to my wife about my baby, and there's going to be 2 people sitting here pissing and shitting themselves before we land.
Attaboy.
And that guy looked at me, and I was like, I will put you down, and you will soil yourself.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, literally, a minute later, and the flight attendant came over and like gave the guy a little grief, and everybody around us was totally on team baby. It was great. But a few minutes later, Rosemary looked at me. She goes, you just told a man you're going to make him piss and shut himself. I was like, yeah, and I will. She was like, that's funny, but that's a weird thing to say. I go, screw that guy. I didn't know where else to go with it. I don't even know how to do it, but I think there's a chokehold where I could make that happen. I'll figure it out.
Yeah, if you're too overt, especially on a plane with a threat, I've learned, no, I did not learn this at all. But yeah, if you're like, I'm just going to, like guys get up and do, then yeah, you're going to get everyone kicked off the plane. But that one confuses everyone. Sure. He knows he's been had. You gave it to him. Everyone around you knows, but it's not like, yelling bomb or something on a plane.
Oh my God. My cousin used to work with my band, the Black Crows, and he was on the road with us a lot in the 90s, and he just lived to confuse people. And he is the guy.
I like him already.
There'd be a flare of testosterone at a bar or whatever, and he'd be like, hey, I didn't say I want to make out with you, dude, but I would. And just say the weirdest thing.
That's funny.
Stop. Everything would come to a halt, completely. Or he would just answer. He would there would be some interaction, and you could feel it getting a little bit tense, and he would literally just look at someone and go, all temperature cheer? No, I'm Tide. I like Tide. I like hot water and Tide. That's just, but that's my fan. We grew up using Tide. But I mean, if you're gonna wash your clothes in cold, he would just start. Wait, what the hell are you talking about? Perfectly works. It just will blow
I'm
that.
Sure,
that,
yeah,
that,
de-escalated a lot of situations. Confused them.
Yeah, the anger bubble is best burst by confusion more than. Don't try to make the peace. Just confuse the hell out of everybody. Great lesson.
All right, we got to hop here, but at 9:25, Candace, you tried to make a couple extra bucks, I think, this winter by feeding Christmas trees to your goats.
Yes.
People could.
Whoa, Candace, it's not an accusation.
No. I noticed you're still coming to work, so apparently you didn't cash out, but. Yeah, keep those goats handy. There's a new animal lawn mowing growing trend gaining in popularity as we come up on No Mow May. Candace, I forget about OnlyFans. I think the goats are the way to go with the mowing season coming up. We'll get into that here at about, like I said, in about 9:25.
Be right back. The KQ Morning Show. The KQ Morning Show is back. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show, Monday, March 11th. March 11th, after a very, very, very warm winter, it seems like, well, so far anyway, I haven't seen any reports that there might be that blowback, that late March, early April freeze that sometimes happens. Could still happen, but based on my cursory look at the weather expectations, it is springtime. For the most part.
By God, that groundhog was right.
By God. Penobscot Pete. What's his name? Puxatawny Phil. Way to go, Phil. Nice job. You're up to 31% accurate in your life. So spring is already here. Lawnmowers about to come out, as they do. It's perfect time of year to get the lawn, start to get the lawn ship shape. But here's the thing. Very, very, very fast-growing new movement across America, and absolutely here in Minnesota, herds of sheeps and goats replacing lawnmowers. People can show up in your yard and just drop off some animals, and they will flat out do the job for you.
And fertilize your lawn for you.
Well, yeah, that's my first thought. Okay, that's great. The grass is short, but what about all the goat crap?
Well,
That's just...
it'll soak in the ground. They're just little baby pellets. It's fine.
Right.
And that's good. That's good. It is fertilizer. It does help.
Well, it's not like they're big steaming piles of dog crap. To be honest, harmless little pellets. If you didn't look down, you wouldn't even know you were stepping on poop, probably.
Okay. There is this is as crazy as it is. There is a ranking for best states for animal mowing. Minnesota comes in number 3, ladies and gentlemen. Access rank second. The demand rank number 14. So the number 1 state, California. There's a lot of companies in California, in large part because California has banned gas-powered lawn equipment. You can't cut your grass in California if that lawnmower takes gas. It's all electric out there now.
Well, I'd have to keep up with my mowing. We have an electric mower now, and it's fine.
Yeah.
It cuts the wisp, but you've got to stay on top of it. Back in my bachelor days when I'd let it grow to, say, I don't know, shin length, you know what I'm talking about. Probably a good 8 inches on there where it starts to, you're like, oh, I didn't realize on the top of grass that there's actually seedlings that come out when you let it get that long. Yeah, an electric mower wouldn't get through that. You needed some gas power to chomp through that. But yeah, I see what they're doing out there. Okay.
Yeah, the blower and the weed eater. I've got gas tools like that, and but that first generation, I bought a battery-powered weed eater years ago, and I mean that thing was good for like 44 seconds. I was just like,
it's gotten better.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I know, and so weak too. Just
I never had a gas-powered one. A gas-powered weed eater or blower, like that's industrial level to me. But I was just sick of the cord. You plug in the orange extension cords, and then you're walking around with the electric weed eater. So I was like, oh, battery, this is going to be great. Yeah. And the thing would literally, you'd go one side of the walkway to the front door, and then it would start flashing red, and I'd be like, you gotta be kidding me. But yeah, to your point, they are much better now.
Yeah, but, although I will, California, really, has anybody been on Pac 1, been on any of the highways out there, and lawnmowers? That's how you're going to dig into this? All right, good. You're getting rid of the lawn. A lot of CO2 gas going in the atmosphere for lawnmowers and weed eaters.
I guess what they're saying is we can't do anything about the traffic, so we can cut it out elsewhere. That must be the thing.
Sure.
But anyway, if you're looking to have, but here's my other question. I mean, obviously this isn't something for somebody who's really obsessed with their yard looking perfect. I don't think goats or sheep are really concerned with your cross-cut stitching pattern.
No, in fact, they'll nub that stuff right down to the. I've got buddies that are. I mean, that's church. That literally is their religion. Their lawn is. I've got a guy that went out and bought a used lawnmower at an auction from a golf course that they use on the greens. So he could get it, and he gets down there on his hands and knees and looks to make sure that there's not, there's a blade.
Yeah,
He'll get out his little scissors, and he's nuts about it. He would not like goats. They will nub that stuff. It'll be, they'll start on one end. Might even be some dead grass in there where they all like to lay around for half the day. Yeah, and it's not for the prep, lawn wars that you like to get into in your neighborhood. Definitely not. But, It's a lazy way to do it. That's the way we did it on the farm. Just bring the cattle in for the weekend.
My goats are pretty neat, I'd say. They're pretty good at their job, and they were raised right.
Are you out there electric shocking them when they go too deep with the grass? I said 2 inches.
Yeah, I'm really curious about how you train a goat to properly eat grass.
Yeah, you can't train goats. Okay. I was lying.
That's good to know. I like a good yard. I like gardening. I mean, I like planting flowers. I like maintaining. I like doing the mulch. I like cutting grass. I like all of it. I hate raking leaves, but everything else involved with keeping your yard up to snuff. It's always very satisfying at the end of a long day when you've put everything away and then it just looks great. And it won't look great 48 hours from now, but that Friday afternoon after a few hours spent, I'm always a big fan of that. The goat thing just threw me. Where was I going with this? But it was a great reminder years ago. This is 25, 26 years ago, living in Atlanta. And I had a little yard right in Midtown. I had a nice little bungalow house, small front yard, but I took really good care of it. And our old piano player, Eddie Harsh, who was a cartoon character, he talked like this. He was about 6'5" and weighed 100 pounds, and he was a crazy guy. I loved him to death. Eddie was over at the house one day, and I was going to plant a new dogwood tree, which it's a small tree, but it's bigger than the average thing you plant. And it eventually became a full-size dogwood. But at the time I'm planting it, it's 6 or 7 feet tall. It's got that giant burlap sack around the ball of the tree. You know, I'd brought it in from a place. It made sense to me at the time. And I'm digging this huge hole, and Eddie's just watching me. Only had one shovel. I wouldn't have asked him to help even if I had two. I'm digging the hole, and then I'm like mixing the mud back in with the guy at the place told me, pour some of this. This will help your soil, and then here's topsoil, and here's this. It's all these treatments, and I'm doing the whole thing, and then I'm getting the level perfect. I'm putting the ball in there, and I'm like, I'm really taking my time getting this. And finally, after like 10 minutes, he goes, man, it's a tree. Just put it in the ground.
Nature will do the rest.
And it was like this literal bell went off. I was like, oh, yeah, it's a tree. He goes, man, there's trees growing through the sidewalk in my neighborhood in Detroit. I'm like, yeah, he's right. Yeah. He's exactly right. I'm like thinking about how much watering every 3 hours, not too much, just enough. Yeah. And he's like, you go by 419 9th Street anytime in Atlanta. That tree looks amazing now.
Yeah, well, and then there's growing a tree, and then there's growing a tree. The pumpkin guys will tell you. My dad was a pumpkin guy. There's growing a pumpkin, and then there's growing something you're going to hollow out and paddle your way down the Mississippi for a couple of miles. You know, there's the state fair pumpkin. You were looking for a state fair worthy tree. You know, something blue ribbon kind of deal going on there. But he's got, I come more from Eddie. I'm like, it's just, you know, in fact, I'm the guy who was like, can we just like dump gravel in the yard? Can we do that? Is that acceptable? Are the neighbors going to run me out of here if I literally just dump gravel in my yard? Maybe it was growing up on a farm, or maybe it was just the fact that, you know, that's not how I get my yayas out. But I will tell you this, my neighbors have a killer lawn, and I love going and sitting on their deck after they've spent hours making that thing, like you said, look pretty. It has that good smell to it. It's so nice and neat and green. That's the deck I want to sit on.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah,
it absolutely
I just don't want to work for it.
We were, we weren't. We were going to, or I do have one story I wanted to touch on today. That's what I'm trying to say. This is a me thing, not a we thing. I don't know why I'm saying we were. I'm like looking at this going, oh, yeah. This is, I can't tell if this is great or terrible. But basically, okay, the CDC, the Center for Disease Control, says, based on their copious amounts of research into these things, if you go into a restaurant, we don't like to think about how many people have probably touched our food, right? CDC says food workers wash their hands about 33% of the time in between preparing foods, crossing foods up. They're supposed to wash their hands constantly. Probably a third of the recommended number of hand washings are going on in kitchens around the country. So germs, and by the way, it's almost always from workers' hands. It's not so much that one piece of food is bad, but if one piece of food is bad, it's then going to get into other things because the same guy's hands are touching various things as they prep these foods. You can get an outbreak of foodborne illness real quickly. Norovirus, the stomach one, or Salmonella, E. coli. Here's the thing. So now, here's a new product. Here's a new piece of machinery that can really help, and it's going to be installed in an awful lot of restaurants. Some already have it. But they're planning to introduce it to 10,000 restaurants worldwide, and that includes fast food restaurants like Taco Bell, Arby's. They've already signed up for it. This is going to be a game changer. It's called the hand scanner. It's basically a lie detector for hand washing.
Oh, all right.
Did you wash your hands? Sure did. Oh, really? And so here's how it works. It looks kind of like a mounted hand dryer. A worker places their hands under it, palms up and then palms down, and within 2 seconds, it can identify any residual contaminant.
All right.
It uses something called light fluorescence spectroscopy, safe non-UV LED lights. So they already use this in the healthcare industry, like for people in operating surgical, procedures and stuff. But now in restaurants, so if a manager says, "Hey man, did you wash your hands?" and you go, "Yep," put them under these lights. It'll tell you right now if you did or not.
Mm-hmm. In fact, some of these, I'm going to go around and looking for those little things that they hang on the wall from the health department. Do you have a hand scanner? Is it an operating order? Yeah. Listen, I'm not a germaphobe, but if you're handling the food, and I know I don't want to think about it. I don't ever think about it. I just go in there. Ignorance is bliss, and it's very tasty too. I don't want to think about what's happening back there because I put everyone at the same level as myself in those industries. I feel like radio and fast food, we sort of parallel each other. We're sort of on the same structure. You have the medical industry. I hold them to higher standards. The airline industry, a higher standard. But, for the rest of us schmucks, but it would be nice to know that it's not too much to ask, is it? Just to wash your GD hands?
Yep.
Come on.
You would think. So it says, here's the thing. This is mostly, the original idea is you want to alert workers when they need to rewash. Contaminants can still be found underneath fingernails, around jewelry or your knuckles.
Yes.
And so the worker would then be instructed to rewash and retest. But, of course, if you're just lying to your boss about it, they can rat you out. It can also be used with gloves. Some people in restaurants use gloves, prep gloves.
Right.
Gloves, although, they're saying those are nastier than bare hands often because they're harder to clean and people have a false sense of security. The guy that makes the hand scanner said, and this is when it kind of got me, he said, people say to me all the time, "No, my hands are clean because I have gloves on." And I respond, "Okay, go ahead and lick that glove for me." And he says, and every time they go, "Oh, no, my gloves are disgusting."
Yeah.
That's like
you just put my burger together with, you know.
That's the Aaron Brockovich moment. We brought that water up here fresh from the whatever.
Right.
Oh, it's so clean. You drink it. I see that. I'm like, oh my God. So, but that's gonna, that's gonna shake up some kitchens.
Yeah, it shouldn't cramp their style so much. Just give us a good scan. I, as a conscientious food worker, would want to know that my hands are clean.
Yeah, I would think so.
I guess.
It's certainly gonna. This is, by the way, we mentioned this earlier. It's debunking Monday, and boy, that's gonna debunk just how gross your restaurant food handlers, hand being the key word, truly are. This is something debunked recently, and I'm still not sure if I believe it. Although every doctor and scientist on earth is saying sugar making kids hyper, not really true. Sugar's not great for kids, but the research says it doesn't cause kids to act out. It doesn't make them unable to focus. Kids expect their children to freak out after eating sugary food. You're more primed to notice it, and kids pick up on that. And they just, your expectation of something being different, they vibe it out, and then they start acting out. I don't know. That kind of...
there is something to that, of course.
Yeah.
I think that is, and we do when we. You're on a sugar buzz. What do we keep saying? My mom would say, "You've had too much sugar." But I kind of remember. I know I'm decades removed from it, but I kind of remember getting the sugar thing and getting a little hopped up. So I think the truth is in the middle somewhere. I don't think you can. All right, we'll just load the kids up on sugar. That's not going to have any effect on their behavior. I don't know.
Maybe I do think that the vibe in the room, that's a real thing though. Kids pick up on if your parents are that unacknowledged expectation of something, it just sends out, it's like gamma rays, and kids are, your parents are the stars and the moon and the sun. They're the whole universe to you.
Mm-hmm.
You're feasting on every vibe they're putting out, good and bad and indifferent. And if a parent is doing something expecting a bad result, well, kids are absolutely going to pick up on that.
Oh, yeah.
And then they'll, like, for instance, go punch their sibling. I don't know.
Well, you're right, to a point. I remember emulating, my parents, my father in particular, and if something displeased him, I didn't want to do that anymore until I turned 14, and then I just did a 180. And then I had all that information stored that was like, oh, I know exactly how to piss him off, and now for some reason I want to. So there's something very real about, the mood of the room affecting kids. They pick up, they learn everything, right? They absorb it.
Yeah, of course. I do know for a fact that watching violent programming can influence your child, because I watched this happen as clearly and as clinically as anything has ever happened in human history. Our kids were 2 and 4. They had just turned 2 and 4. And for the first time ever, we were flipping channels and came across the Power Rangers. And we watched an episode of Power Rangers, and there's the red and the yellow and the green and the blue, whatever colors they were, and it's basically a 22-minute fight. The Power Rangers are just fighting off all the bad guys the whole show.
All they do.
And both my kids are staring at the TV like, whoa, what is happening? And the episode ends, and we're like, that was kind of cool. And Connell, the 4-year-old, stands up, walks across the room to his 2-year-old sister and just punches her right in the head.
Well, I'm laughing with.
I mean, and he fully expected her to punch him back, and this is what you do. And of course, she just screamed and blew, ah! And we were like, whoa, no! And he was so confused. He's like, You
have
just
to put on
showed
the
me-
suit first, right?
You just showed me 22 straight minutes of fistfights, and now I can't do this? I mean, literally, the look on his face was like, I'm getting mixed signals here.
I just learned the proper technique.
It's like, wow, that's really weird. And then not that long out, I mean, within 5 or 6 years, and of course then siblings do start to, fight or whatever on their own. When Marley decided to start taking karate classes, she was a very, very serious karate student. And her answer as to why you're doing karate never changed. So I can beat up Connell. That was it. Real simple. So I can beat up my brother. And we're like, all right, go for it.
My brother is a black belt. He's a year younger than me. That 1 year younger than me is the perfect age for an older brother just to whoop his younger brother's butt all the time. Because if it's 3 years, now you're just picking on your little brother. But it's 1 year, you're close, and he's close enough to me to think, I think I can get him. And on a good day, he had 2 in 12 years, where he got a little bit of the best of me. But, he took karate, and he said, I'm going to become a black belt, and I'm going to kick your ass. Well, he became a black belt, but by the time he did that, he was in his mid-20s, and he thankfully had just, lost the gumption to want to kick my ass. There was something about in there that I've learned that we're not supposed to use it. I'm like, yeah, whatever, sensei.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's definitely the whole thing. It's like, it's the karate Marley learned. It's I think it's called Wado, which is the way of peace. And the whole point is
you're not supposed to.
You never use this. I'm like, she did use it once. As a 3rd grader, she took a kid down on the playground who was picking on her, which was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, oh, go ahead. Tell me she's in trouble. This is hilarious.
Karate Kid.
Little punks twisting her arm behind her back, and she roundhouse kicked him in the face. True story. It was
awesome.
Yeah. And if it had been me, I would have kicked him when he was down. She walked away and burst into tears.
Dad gives him one in the rib cage.
Yeah. I mean, I told my kids, like any good father, never kick a person unless you're absolutely sure you can get away with it.
Yeah.
What's that line from Stripes? Never hit a man when he's down unless you're absolutely sure you can get away with it.
My dad, seriously, his advice to us fighting was, no, boys, I don't want you guys to ever start a fight. Don't ever start a fight.
Yep.
Unless you're absolutely sure there's going to be one. Then get that first one in. It really takes the wind out of their sails.
We got that same thing. It's like, never start a fight, but damn sure you better be willing to finish it real fast.
Right.
Just wait as long as you possibly can. But then if it goes, there's no governor on the engine. Go for it. It's very true. It's funny. Oh, you know what we were talking earlier? There's the Pentagon released a study that says there's no alien life forms out there.
Right.
Which and our Dr. Tony Lee completely debunked their debunking.
Of course, the nerve.
With the skill of a technician himself. And it's funny,
like an alien almost.
Exactly. Like a week ago, at what's the downstairs at the Turf Club? The Clown Lounge.
Mm-hmm.
Clown Lounge.
They have the TV playing, and they were showing the Rowdy Roddy Piper classic, They Live.
Oh, They Live.
It was just on in the
that
bar.
That is a classic.
And he's, if you've never seen it, anybody, he's got these glasses. He puts sunglasses on, but then they reveal who all the aliens are.
Mm-hmm.
And then you take them off, and people look normal. And there's subliminal messaging. Every billboard has a different message when he puts the glasses on.
Obey.
And I saw that movie in the theater when it came out. Like, just to give you insight into my life in 1988, I was like, let's go see this.
Yeah.
But it's actually a really good movie. But there's a scene in that movie where, coming off of the, finish a fight quick, there's a scene in that movie. The most memorable scene is there's a fight in an alley, and it's like 11 minutes long. It's the longest fight scene, two guys fighting, you'll ever see in your life. It might even be 15 minutes long. The truth is, it might be 3 minutes long, but it feels like it's 15 minutes long. But I remember watching that movie, and as this fight continues, my buddy Randy and I are laughing more and more because it just keeps on going. And at that time, I'd only been in a couple of little honest-to-God dust-ups. But I even knew at that early age, fights don't last long.
Nope.
They really don't.
That's the biggest misnomer. When I watch movies and Clint Eastwood, like you said, they get into a 7-minute knockdown, drag out
Not
the
a
window,
chance.
down the alley, across the street. No, fights you are gassed. First of all, your adrenaline is going a mile a minute. And then there's all the wasted movement most people use in a fight because you're just haymakering and going crazy and stuff like that. If you go 60 seconds... I mean, someone hits the stopwatch, and 60 seconds later, you're both still really going at it, not just holding each other in a sort of a Mexican standoff headlock there.
Yeah.
But if you're really duking it out for 60 seconds, that's boxing material right there. You're in wrestler shape.
Well, if you watch, round one, Hagler Hearns, one of the greatest rounds in boxing history, two guys who were in of everyone walking the earth at that time, they were two of the best conditioned 10 people on the planet. And they're barely able to stand after 3 minutes. Now, I mean, they're throwing haymakers at each other. But, I mean, the top conditioned guys in the world, they need a break every 3 minutes. They got to sit down on a stool and have someone rub their shoulders. You see two guys in a bar fighting, get 30 seconds tops.
30 tops.
Especially if they're actually landing punches.
Right.
There's, because like you said, even if you don't throw a single punch, when you have that much adrenaline, the downside to an adrenaline burst is talk about a sugar crash. The adrenaline crash is brutal.
Yeah.
Man, something like that
I remember
happens,
being in one that,
it
started in a bar, at the bar. We end up outside in the parking lot, and we were both just trying to hang on to each other. I mean, I think at that point, while the other guy was trying to hit you, I mean, you
exactly
can't.
Right.
Yeah, it's you're gassed pretty quick. But that's what the movies are for, to lead us into some false sense of, I don't know, security or...
Yeah.
I don't know.
My son, his freshman year in college, he decked a guy who was asking for it. 100%. If there was ever a cause to literally throw the first punch, it was this guy. An older dude was totally trying to get a drunk friend of my son's, a girl. He was like, I'm taking her with me. I mean, literally about to basically abduct an 18-year-old drunk freshman. And Connell just, at some point, there was nothing left to do, but he just punched the guy right in the, just boom, right in his face. And and the guy was a little off his steps, knocked the guy down. Didn't knock him out, but the guy, it knocked him down. It was a good thing. And he was telling me about it, and I said, okay, you have to retire right now.
That's a good.
You are 1-0 in a bar fight. I promise you, the next one will be terrible. You please retire. Never be in a fight in a bar again unless you. I mean, and he was like, no, because I could tell he's 18, and he's like, I might be a badass. And I'm like, no, you are not. You are not a badass.
You got a taste for it.
You threw a great, you did the right thing and got a lucky punch, and the guy left. That will never happen again. And in fact, that guy now is looking for you. Every night he leaves his apartment, he's looking for that punk that got one in on him. Don't go back to the well.
Get the KQ Morning Show podcast wherever you listen. 92 KQRS.